that it is a precautionary measure. Also, schools sending messages that they remain closed for the time being. And we also getting reports from various parts where blasts have been heard. Latest I can share with you is that in South Kashmir, Khandru, we know it's a big weapons depot. There, anti-aircraft guns have been activated. They have fired some rounds because there was drone movement detected. Then again, in Avantipura, we've been told that some drones have been sighted. There again, anti-aircraft guns and other ammunition has been used. So it's overall, if you talk of multiple places across, they have been activated. They have seen escalation. We've also been told, and our sources say that there has been some retaliation from the Indian side. Some missiles have been fired towards Pakistan. So already, if you talk of this particular attack, retaliation has started. And while damage assessment is something that we'll have to wait for, obviously, as of now, no reports of any casualties. But again, this is a dynamic situation. There are blasts that are happening even as I speak to you in various parts. And it is like various frontiers which were silent even from the last 7-8 days have been activated by Pakistan. Places like Gurez have seen anti-aircraft guns or drones being fired at by the Indian Army. Similar drone sightings in Gulmarg. And as I said, Srinagar Airport, which is a very sensitive strategic airport, is on highest alert, and they're activated their batteries because there were reports that there could be drones headed towards Srinagar Airport and as well.
Even as you're speaking, we're getting fresh reports. India hits back at Pakistan, firing fresh missiles at Pakistan. Gaurav, just to get a sense, neither side has crossed, presumably, each other's airspace as of now. These are missiles being fired by the two sides, using their long-range missiles or using drones, but remaining within each other's territory. Am I correct?
Rajdeep, this is the new nature of warfare that is being fought between India and Pakistan, two nuclear weapon states, because this is a way where you can, should there be a requirement, contain it, control it, and de-escalate. And India every day is making that statement that the onus is on Pakistan. India is responding to everything that Pakistan does. Day one, Pakistan targeted Pahalgam, so India responded. Even right now, when Pakistan is escalating and Pakistan's air raid warnings, India has fired missiles at Pakistan, would be to take down three things. One, if they've targeted our airbase, their airbase goes. If they've targeted any of our vital assets and vital points, their vital assets and vital points go. There maybe in one case, if they target one, we target two because we are far superior. And no, Rajdeep, I completely disagree that this is a game where two sides are playing for a draw. India is playing to win. And this is a very decisive situation where India wants to send across that message that Pakistan is a very tiny state. It is a nuclear weapon state, but a tiny nuclear weapon state that has to be put in its place, and it will be, Rajdeep, because it's not just militarily, it's also economically, diplomatically, in every way. India is far superior. That permitted Pakistan for very long to punch far above its weight. So its generals have to be cut to size, its diplomats, its civil society, all of them who think they're equal to India have to be cut down to size.
We're getting more breaking news. As Pakistan air warning system has been shot in Pakistan, Punjab. Pakistan Air Force AWACS have been shot down. India has fired fresh missiles at Pakistan. And the important news that we got you a little while ago, 2 JF-17s, which are Chinese-made, 1 F-16 has been shot down by India. Therefore, a total of 3 Pakistani fighter jets have been brought down by India. Remember, Pakistan has been claiming, including its Prime Minister, that they've shot down 5 Indian jets. No confirmation, no evidence provided of that. But India today, sources now confirming that 3 Pakistani fighter jets have been brought down by India, and at least Pakistan is confirming that 2 of them indeed have been brought down. So 3 Pakistani...
It's a huge setback if an AWACS, that Saab 2000, it's an airborne early warning command and control system. There is no equality, Rajdeep. See what is happening on ground. If an AWACS has been brought down, it just shows it's an airborne early warning command and control system. If that has been brought down, it just shows, one, tactically Pakistan is weaker, militarily Pakistan is weaker. If it cannot protect its AWACS, and AWACS doesn't fly in isolation, and AWACS has a package that is protecting it. It has multiple fighter jets that protect it. If an AWACS has been brought down, it's a huge loss for Pakistan.
I'm getting another piece of breaking news in Rajouri. there has been a terror attack, a suicide attack. Pakistan, remember, has consistently attempted to use terror as a weapon in such situations. So the news we are getting is in Rajouri, there has been an attempted suicide terror attack. Suicide attack on an army installation in Jammu and Kashmir. We'll get more details on that.
India has hit Lahore.
And
India has hit Lahore. This is what Pakistan does not realize what India intends to do. Hit terror at source. And if Lahore has been hit, Rajdeep, we will just wait to see what has been hit. Is it 4 core? Because clearly, Rajdeep, you know, when people think India plays for a draw, no, this is a different India. It does not play for a draw. It sends across a message. Military jihad complex will be punished. If Lahore has been hit, it's the nerve center of Pakistan and Pakistan's Punjab. That Pakistani Punjabi Musalman mindset is being targeted, Rajdeep. That's exactly what is happening. AWACS down, JF-17 down, Lahore hit.
Let's get more details of India hitting Lahore. Remember, Lahore is the heart of Pakistan, Punjab. That is the city where Pakistani power comes from, both the military power and its political power. India's counterattack in Lahore. Remember, this morning, India claimed that they had, and India reinforced the fact that Pakistan's Lahore air defense systems had been neutralized. Missiles and drones had been used to target Lahore's air defense systems, and they had been totally neutralized. So India's response has been clear. You hit us in Jammu, we will hit you right in your heartland. And that is the danger that Pakistan has. They can try to hit us in Jammu or a Jaisalmer, which are close to the border. We can go right into the heartland of Pakistan, because the counter-attack in Lahore sends a clear message that Pakistan, Punjab, we saw it earlier this morning, Sialkot, Rawalpindi and Lahore were hit by missiles and drones. And Pakistan had very little response to it. So while India today has brought down 3 Pakistani jets in their attempt to target Jammu and Jaisalmer, India has gone a step further, gone and hit Lahore, which is the heart of Pakistan, Punjab.
India, Rajdeep, if I may, India had hit Lahore just 2 days ago, and even in Muridke. Muridke is on the outskirts of Lahore, the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Taiba.
Those were very different, because those were hitting Bahawalpur and Muridke, which were terror bases of the Jaish and the Lashkar. And India made it very clear then, we are hitting terror infrastructure, not military installations. What we are now seeing is, after Pakistan strikes on attempted strikes on India, India has hit back on presumably equivalent targets in Lahore. Now, what those targets are, we'll wait and see. But India hitting Lahore, counter-attack in Lahore, is a clear message that the government of India is not going to stand by to watch what Pakistan does. This is clear retaliatory action. Important to use the word retaliatory, which India has made it very clear that this escalatory spiral was started by Pakistan with Pahalgam.
Yes, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar saying any action by Pakistan will be met with a firm response. And Rajdeep, this is a very significant point. To hit Lahore would require political clearance. And this is where Narendra Modi government, Rajdeep, is very different from any government in the past, even if it was an Atal Bihari Vajpayee who said that your aircraft will not go across. Here, Balakot, your aircraft went across. Right now, your missiles and your drones and your systems are hitting across and hard, Rajdeep.
Okay, let's get exactly what Dr. S. Jaishankar has said. He said, I've spoken with US Secretary Rubio. Remember, he's also National Security Advisor, Rubio, at the moment. Deeply appreciate US commitment to work with India in the fight against terrorism. Underlined India's targeted and measured response. And these are important words. Targeted and measured response to cross-border terrorism. We will firmly counter any attempts at escalation. So what you've got is Pakistan provoking India to push up the escalatory ladder. India making it very clear that we have targeted and measured response to cross-border terrorism. If you hit Jammu, we will hit Lahore. And therefore, the costs for Pakistan are that much greater, because Lahore, as I keep repeating, is the heartland of Pakistan. It's the heartland of Pakistan's Punjab. When you hit Lahore, you're really hitting the jugular vein, if I may use the word that was used by General Munir, of Pakistan. And therefore, Pakistan has been sent a firm warning, a counter-attack. All of this happening in the last couple of hours. I think the one concern is just how fast things are happening. when you go up an escalatory spiral, when it happens in a couple of hours, then coming down is not so easy. But when Pakistan struck Jammu today, despite warnings by India that they were not into an escalatory battle, they have effectively given a red rag to India. India has struck back and hit Lahore. Remember, all of this also comes on the backdrop of NSA Ajit Doval meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi a short while ago with a complete briefing. Secretary of State of the United States, Marco Rubio, spoken to Dr. Jaishankar. But as Dr. Jaishankar's responses said, we will firmly counter any attempts at escalation, but that does not mean that India does not reserve, and these are my words, India does not reserve the right to retaliate. So Pakistan escalation will get a firm response is the message that India has sent. Now, whether that message reaches GHQ in Rawalpindi is clear. Remember, earlier today, India had hit Lahore's missile systems. Those defense systems had been neutralized.
And you know, Rajdeep, if I may, if the Pakistanis had understood how India would react, the moment your air defense system has been hit, you know you're vulnerable, you don't have a shield, you do not escalate. A sane military mind would not have escalated, but Pakistan is not a sane military mind. Their army chief, Asim Munir, he escalated, he hit Jammu, perhaps thinking that India will respond either in Sialkot or somewhere in Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir. But that is not how India is thinking. India is thinking to quickly put Pakistan in its place, or that military jihad complex in its place. And that's exactly what you do. You hit where Pakistan is most vulnerable, and Lahore, without an air defense shield, is where they're vulnerable. Their AWACS has gone down. And why, Rajdeep, did they bring their AWACS up? Because they don't have radars on ground. Just understand, military is science. It is a scientific operation. This is how you bring your enemy in to a place, what is called a kill zone. You brought the AWACS into a kill zone and killed it there.
You're seeing the images that are playing out on your screen at the moment. Those are deferred images that you're seeing. Pakistan air warning systems have been hit in Punjab. Pakistan escalation will get a firm response is Dr. Jaishankar's comment. So clearly Pakistan now finds itself on the defensive because it is Pakistan. And this point was reiterated importantly by the Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri in a press briefing. Pakistan began the escalatory spiral with what it happened in Pahalgam, when innocent civilians were targeted in the manner that they were by the Pakistani-based jihadi factory. So in that sense, Pakistan now getting a sense, you hit us, whether it's Jaisalmer or Jammu, we will come into your heartland. Now, will that be enough to make General Munir see reason to be rational about what we are seeing around us is the key to what happens next. Pakistan must recognize now that they cannot get away by constantly going on this escalatory ladder without expecting more kinetic action from India.
Absolutely. Rajdeep, if I may, India's actions aren't just kinetic. India has also released water from the Salal Dam exactly at 5 o'clock in the evening. That water will be reaching Pakistan and some of those areas in Pakistan closer to midnight, which is what would make Pakistan's operations even more difficult. Even the civilian areas would be inundated in a while from now. So there are kinetic measures, there are non-kinetic measures that India is taking. That's point one. Point two, Indus Waters Treaty being held in abeyance was a signal that was going out to Pakistan. Stop terror if you want water. Water is not being weaponized to stop it. India will only harness the entire amount of water that we are entitled to. Lahore being hit is like, you know, when Sri Ram had to kill Ravan, Ravan was hit in his navel. That is how you destroy evil. Pakistan has to be targeted in Pakistan's Punjab province when you want to destroy that evil of radical Islamist terror and that military jihad complex. And India is hitting Pakistan in Lahore, in Bahawalpur, in Murid ke Rajdeep.
We'll go back to our correspondents in a moment. Sunilji Bhatt is still with us. Sunilji, you're hearing that within an hour or within 2 hours of Pakistan striking at Jammu or attempting to strike at the Jammu airbase and areas around it, including civilian areas, and that distinction needs to be drawn. India has hit Lahore. I want to get a sense from you in Jammu at the moment. Has an element of calm returned? People feel, have the explosions that you heard till a few minutes ago, have they stopped?
Rajdeep, I have spoken to people from different localities in Jammu city, and most of them are saying that power supply has been restored. However, power supply remains cut off in some areas. It's being done as a precautionary measure. People are heaving a sigh of relief because electricity supply has been restored in most areas, and people believe that it's a good sign that that now things are getting back to normal here. But it's going to be a very long night, because even now we are hearing bomb sirens in many parts of Jammu region. In Jammu city, situation remains very sensitive. Uneasy calm prevails in many areas, and civil defense volunteers are out in the streets. They are going to each and every locality, appealing to people that they must stay safe, they must be alert, and at the same time they should not lose patience, they should remain calm, and there is nothing to worry. Security forces are doing their job.
I'm just going to stop you for a moment, Sunilji, but the big news, of course, that's coming in is that India has struck at Lahore. Indian missile system, we don't know where in Lahore, but India has hit Lahore in response, and that's important to underline, in response to what Pakistan attempted a couple of hours ago. Meanwhile, news coming in at the moment that the US NSA and Secretary of State Marco Rubio has now spoken to Shahbaz Sharif, Pakistan's Prime Minister. Earlier, remember, Rubio spoke to India's External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar. Now, Shahbaz Sharif is from Punjab. When this attack takes place in Lahore, it's right in the heart of where Shahbaz Sharif, who was formerly, remember, before becoming Prime Minister, Punjab's Chief Minister, Pakistan, Punjab's Chief Minister.
And his
So
daughter is the...
and his daughter, Maryam Sharif, Nawaz Sharif's daughter, Maryam Nawaz Sharif, is the Chief Minister of Punjab. But India, by striking in the heart of Pakistan, has sent a very powerful signal this evening. And then, following that, you are now hearing news that Marco Rubio has spoken to Prime Minister Sharif. But the question is, does the Prime Minister of Pakistan or the civilian leadership have it in it to tell the Pakistan army that we need to pull back, we need to restrain ourselves? That is the big question mark. And in the past, we've seen that the army simply has never listened to the civilian leadership. We can go back to Kargil as well, where Parvez Musharraf ran his own agenda. Nawaz Sharif at that moment found himself completely marginalized. 26 years later, Shahbaz Sharif is going to now have to walk the talk. If Shahbaz Sharif wants to assert any authority, he must realize that India has hit Lahore. This cannot go on for Pakistan. So therefore, Pakistan will have to take a choice of what it wants in the next 24 hours.
You know, Rajdeep, if I may just slightly disagree with you on this aspect, Nawaz Sharif was ordered by Parvez Musharraf after his men started dying on the Kargil heights to run to America and save Pakistani lives, because he realized Parvez Musharraf got into the Kargil war. He did not have an exit plan. Similarly, Asim Munir got into the Pahalgam plan. He does not have an exit plan. So now he will put Shahbaz Sharif in front and say, please agree to a surrender, like Nawaz Sharif agreed to a surrender and a ceasefire, and then save the Pakistan army. This is history repeating itself. I covered the Kargil war on ground. I interacted with the leadership even that time. I'm interacting even now. And this is exactly what will happen. Shahbaz Sharif will then say, okay, we want peace. And then Asim Munir will back down. And maybe after some time, he'll take over power.
But at the moment, they're going to have to walk the talk. The fact is that General Asim Munir is the one who has to answer for this escalation.
Yes.
And therefore, whatever happens from now, more than speaking to Shahbaz Sharif, at some stage, the Americans will have to ensure that the army leadership also falls in line in Pakistan.
And Rajdeep, that is why they've appointed DG ISI as the National Security Advisor. So next, Marco Rubio will probably be speaking to General Asim Malik, who's Pakistan's National Security Advisor, and DG ISI, and very close to General Asim Munir. So that is how the power structure works. They do not trust a Shahbaz Sharif or an Ishaq Dar, who's the Deputy Prime Minister, who's completely powerless. Even Shahbaz Sharif, Rajdeep, as you know better, in Pakistani proper Punjab is referred to as boot polish, or someone who serves the Pakistan army.
This morning, there was a targeted attack on Lahore by India, very specific targeted attack on their air defense systems. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
And those air defense systems were neutralized. Therefore, now, given what Pakistan did a couple of hours ago, targeting Jammu, targeting Jaisalmer airport, drones being put across different parts of the valley, artillery fire continuing from across the LOC. How does India respond specifically to Lahore? Yesterday it was significant. It was Sialkot, Rawalpindi and Lahore. 3 cities which are at the heart of Punjab. Rawalpindi is significant because it's the GHQ headquarters. Lahore because it is the, in a sense, the political capital of Punjab. And Sialkot, where, remember, a number of the terror camps have also existed. So given what was done this morning, now India hitting Lahore, what is the significance?
So Lahore is also the 4 Corps headquarters. Lahore is a very important nerve center, as you very rightly pointed out, Rajdeep, of Pakistani political life. And if I may, proper Punjab is what runs Pakistan. You know, when Balakot happened, it did not hurt Pakistan's military jihad network because they were being hit in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which they treat as a second-class citizen. Had they been hit in Baluchistan, it does not hurt them. That's because they only milk Baluchistan. Had they been hit in Sindh, they would have probably said Muhajirs and Sindhis have been killed. When you are hit in Pakistan's Punjab, which is what provides the backbone of the Pakistan army, this hurts Pakistan. And this is exactly what the Narendra Modi government is doing, hitting Pakistani's military jihad complex in its backbone, breaking the backbone. And Rajdeep, as you very rightly pointed out, it is hitting the jugular of the Pakistani military jihad network. Lashkar-e-Taiba is in Punjab province of Pakistan. Jaish-e-Mohammed is in Punjab province of Pakistan. And you have Pakistan Army, its 4 Corps, which is in Lahore. 31 Corps is in Bahawalpur. 10 Corps is in Mangla. So all of this, their entire army is around, Rawalpindi, Islamabad. All of that are areas that India has in its crosshairs should Pakistan escalate further. Lahore being hit is punitive strikes on the military jihad infrastructure in Pakistan, Rajdeep.
We'll wait and see how Pakistan responds to that. We'll wait and see what specific targets have been hit in Lahore. Those operational details, of course, will come out at a much later date. Probably some stage tomorrow we'll get a real sense of what has happened. But the message is loud and clear. You strike us in Jammu and Jaisalmer and parts of the valley, we will come right into your heartland. And that's really a message that India is reinforcing both this morning when they went to Sialkot, Rawalpindi and Lahore, and what they are reinforcing at the moment. I want to go to Mir Farid and Amit Bhardwaj, both of whom are joining me at the moment. Gentlemen, it's been a long night. At the moment, Mir Farid in Srinagar, is there an element of uneasy calm?
Absolutely, Rajdeep. In fact, it's pitch dark. Electricity has been cut off, and I can also share with you that the Education Minister has ordered that all schools in Jammu and Kashmir will remain closed tomorrow. So all those things happening, people are very uncertain. I'm getting calls, messages. People want to know what has happened. There are a lot of fake news on social media, a lot of propaganda, and that's also keeping people on the edge. Though, as far as the government is concerned, they have told people to be very careful about this particular propaganda and ensure that they take that news, cross-check, and then only believe, do not believe on rumors. But across Kashmir, as we have been reporting, LOC is hot. Very heavy RT fire across the LOC areas, starting from Kupara right to Baramulla, then to Jammu on the other side as far as Rajouri Poonch is concerned. And then this is escalation at multiple levels. And then we also got reports that in South Kashmir, there have been attempts to target some ammunition depots of the army, which have been repulsed, anti-aircraft guns used. So it seems that it was a very well-planned attack where they wanted to escalate simultaneously at various sectors through various means of ammunition, starting from rockets, drones to RT fire. So it was clearly a retaliation, but so far, luckily, there has been no major news of any casualty, though it's still early times. There will be evaluation. They would be trying to find out the kind of damage, but no reports of any casualty. Some injuries, yes, but that really is the good news coming out of this. No casualties, Rajdeep.
Okay, let's go to Shivani Sharma, our correspondent who also joins us. Shivani, what are you picking up?
Rajdeep, the shelling out here where we are reporting from can be heard, and this has been over an hour when this shelling started in the Uri sector, and this is heavy shelling that's happening, and the interval of the shelling is also quite frequent. So this is how Pakistan is now escalating along the line of control, where we were reporting that in last 2 nights also there was heavy artillery fire, but the timing of that fire used to be after 12 p.m. around 1 and till the wee hours in the morning. But now the heavy shelling has started around 9 o'clock, right after when Jammu was attacked and the attack was thwarted. So this area also remains in complete blackout. We are getting developments every minute about what's happening. Pakistan continues to escalate. It is trying to approach on the borders along the line of control with heavy artillery firing, not only in Jammu and Kashmir, Rajdeep, but also on the western sector in Rajasthan, as we were reporting about. There was heavy shelling in Jaisalmer, as well as the drones were seen that were neutralized there. Multiple locations on the western sector, not only Jammu, but in Rajasthan and Punjab also there are inputs that the drones were activated by Pakistan. They all have been neutralized. 8 places in Jammu where drones were activated, they all have been neutralized. There's no report of any casualty so far. The situation is emerging, high alerts on the borders. And even when I'm speaking, I can hear these RT shells being fired along the line of control. The villages have already been evacuated that lie in the range of this artillery shelling, because in last 2 days we lost 16 people in Poonch and Thangdar alone, Rajdeep. So multiple air assets are activated. They are active. The air defense systems are active. There is a multiple layer of all these air defense systems that are working right now on high alert, vigilant, monitoring the skies on the western borders. Complete blackout to be as a part of caution in this area where we are reporting from right now. But though we have not witnessed any air activity apart from the shelling that continues.
Right. Thanks very much, Shivani Sharma, for joining us at that moment. Shivani, of course, tracks the Defense Ministry very closely. India moving in what can be best described as a very calibrated response. Pakistan responds in a particular way. India ensuring that the response as of now remains calibrated. So you're in an escalatory spiral, but without getting into a situation that spirals out of control. That seems to be the reflection. Meanwhile, Marco Rubio, as we said, spoke to Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shahbaz Sharif, a little while ago. We are also being told that airports are on high alert across the country. So security being beefed up at airports across the country at this moment. Airports being put on high alert and being beefed up across the country. The IPL also, now we are told a BCCI meeting will be held. The match today in Dharamshala was called off, but there is now the real possibility that the IPL itself, there is a huge question mark whether there will be any more matches if the situation remains tense in the next few days. So lots of question marks now exist. All passengers to undergo extra security checks with the airports being placed on high alert across the country. But the big news, of course, is that India has used its missiles to strike Lahore. Remember, all of this also on the backdrop of 2 JF-17s and 1 F-16 being shot down by India.
And
Pakistan
AWACS.
air warning systems being hit in Punjab. All Indian airports are on high alert. That's the breaking news that we are getting at the moment from across the country. Visitor entry at terminals being banned. Gaurav's going to take over and take this forward right through the night, because it's going to be a long night where there will be plenty of news that you can get. We've got a large team of reporters that have spread to every corner of the key areas, and they'll bring you more news in a moment. Gaurav.
And Rajdeep, the fact that a Pakistani AWACS has been downed is very significant. It's an airborne platform. It's a huge aircraft, which is an airborne early warning command and control system. When that is taken down, something that's protected by multiple fighter jets and aircraft, it just goes on to indicate how vulnerable Pakistan is in the skies. And that question then once again comes, Rajdeep, whether Pakistan had wargamed this enough. If it is losing its ground radar system, its air defense shield in Lahore, which is Pakistan's best protected city. Punjab is Pakistan's best protected province. If that is so vulnerable, if an AWACS has been downed in over Pakistan's Punjab province, if their fighter jets are falling like flies as they try to enter Indian territory, we are told we have some locations, but we will wait for Government of India to officially announce this since live military operations and the operation is still underway because Pakistani drones, missiles and their fighter jets, because this is grave escalation. Grave escalation by Pakistan when it sends in its F-16s and JF-17 Thunders into Indian territory or close to Indian territory, that they are shot down. This would indicate that Pakistan's Army Chief General Asim Munir is gambling. It's a very dangerous game that Asim Munir is playing, and clearly at every stage he's being called out. That representative image that you see is India's Sudarshan Chakra, the S-400 air defense system that has so far destroyed every incoming threat, including, we are told, the JF-17s and, according to reports, one F-16. Now, if I explain this to you for the benefit of our viewers, the Pakistanis did not war game India having the Rafales, the Su-30 MKIs, the Mirage 2000s, the AWACS that we have, the S-400 system, and they are all integrated. Eyes in the sky, and they look. Big story coming in. A Pakistani Air Force pilot has been captured in India, and we are told, I can give you the location, and that's the information that had come to me just a short while back, but we will give you the location only when it's officially announced by Government of India. It's an injured Pakistani Air Force pilot who's been captured. When that information was then, there's some more information that's coming in, but we shall wait for that information to officially come through the government if and when it comes. As of now, we are told we will go exactly by what is officially being released, either from our side or information that is filtering in through our reporters. And India Today has the biggest team of reporters on ground, getting you a 360-degree perspective on this story. I have Shivani Sharma joining me from a very sensitive location. Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu is again at a very sensitive location, and that is why we are not giving out the location of our reporters. Amit Bharadwaj also joins me from somewhere in that northern part of our country, which is actually right now punishing Pakistan or Pakistan's military jihad complex. And Shivani, to you first, I hope you are safe where you are. I hope you're in a position to tell us, without compromising any operational details, the situation and what you're able to pick up.
Gaurav, we all are in the middle of an operation that goes on, a military operation that goes on, where along the line of control there is heavy shelling that continues, and from where I am reporting, I can clearly hear these shelling sounds. That means it's quite close from where I'm reporting, and this continues not only in this particular area where I'm reporting from, in the Uri sector, but also in the Poonch sector, the Tangdhar sector, and all the other western borders where the ceasefire violations have continued for last 14 days. But since past 3 days, we are witnessing heavy shelling, continuous heavy shelling. I can hear, even I can speak. So every 30 seconds that shell is coming. So you can imagine the intensity of that shell that is being fired from the Pakistani post, the artillery shelling that goes on. And army has been responding proportionately to these artillery gunfires by the Pakistani army. And let's tell our viewers that there were the reports of houses being damaged, 16 lives lost in last night shelling in Poonch area, and all those villages were evacuated today. We have been reporting about these people being taken to the safe places. That means the Indian Army was well prepared. It was on a high alert. It has been monitoring the whole escalation that Pakistan is going ahead with, and there are inputs of certain air assets also of Pakistan that have been neutralized, except the drones that have been intercepted. No damage has been reported. No casualty has been reported as of now, Gaurav.
Shivani,
that's what we are learning from the sources.
Stay with me. There's an alert across all borders in the country. Union Home Minister Amit Shah has spoken to Director Generals of Central Armed Police Forces also of the border security force. He's also speaking to internal security to ensure that the internal security grid is very strong. Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu, who covered internal security for us at the Ministry of Home Affairs for a very long time, continues to cover internal security and defense, joins us on this broadcast. Kamal, give us details about the critical role that's played by BSF, the CISF, which protects our industrial assets, because this is where subversion and sabotage could be huge to target India's capabilities in these very crucial times, Kamal.
Well, the multiple attacks itself shows that they wanted to create chaos and confusion in India, and that is why. And as Shivani was saying, there's no casualty, there is no injury reported as of now, which means it's more of a symbolic attack as such. But definitely the way attack has been done, it's very clear it is to create confusion and panic. But meanwhile, the sort of swarm drones that we've seen, now they have not been so effective because one, the reason is that India has fended them off very, very well. And second is the sort of deployment which was done. And as you're talking about, it's not just the Indian Army, it's also the RR, it's also Jammu Kashmir Police, it's also Punjab Police, it's also the CAPF, including the BSF. Now what we know is there was input coming in that not only would Pakistan retaliate in a manner like that, but also that there could be non-state actors like Jaish-e-Mohammed or Lashkar-e-Taiba. Remember, there are at least 140 terrorists which are still inside Jammu and Kashmir, and they're active. So there is obviously one set of intelligence which says that there's credible information that these can be activated in the next couple of days. But clearly, as far as India is concerned, they have sent a strong message across to Pakistan. One, for the first misadventure, which was the Pahalgam attack, and second was the targeting of civilians. And then thereafter what we've seen is this particular drone attack which has taken place. So Pakistan will be taught a lesson, but this one is a big one coming in from Pakistan. It's been going on for multiple locations, multiple sightings, but the drones being neutralized in equal measure.
Stay with me, Kamal. I also want to bring in Amit Bharadwaj. There's more information coming in. Shimla, Jaisalmer, Jodhpur, multiple airports, including the one in Kulu, the Bhuntar airport, all of them are being shut down. Chandigarh airport has been shut down for civilian flights, which means all airports, Amit, clearly for military operations. And once again, it's a clear sign that India is preparing for an escalation that may come from Pakistan, and to have all resources ready to be able to send across a message to Pakistan, Amit.
Right, Gaurav. You know, if you look at the list of the airports where the civilian airspace has been closed down in India, it's majorly the north of India as well as the western part of India. So clearly the borders and the airspace is being kept clear right now for our defense strategy, and that could be the best strategy at this point in time, because if you look at what Pakistan Air Force did was that, you know, they were attacking India, but they were not even ready for the counter response that was coming from the Indian side. But India seems to be, you know, dealing with every situation very strategically, and that is why in the list there have been addition of further airports. It is giving out a clear signal that Indian northern space, airspace as well as the western airspace has been cleared out for the strategic movement of our Air Force, as well as the response to the cowardly attack that's coming from the Pakistani side, and we're ready to give every befitting response. Along with that, Gaurav, the security of the airports across India has been beefed up by the MOCA and the administration which handles this particular affair in the country right now. So there will be
so you meant the Ministry of Civil Aviation and
across the airports which will be functional for us.
You know, there are two aspects which I find very critical, and I want all three of you to weigh in on it. Shivani, you handle defense and you've been reporting right from the front lines. The fact that a Pakistani AWACS has been downed, an airborne early warning command and control system of Pakistan, and I believe Pakistan has two but only one operational. If that one operational AWACS has gone down, this is a huge setback for Pakistan. And if it has lost 3 fighter jets, that information that's coming in, it just means that Pakistan is in a bad position right now.
Gaurav, everybody knows the defense capabilities of Pakistan and the way the attempts were thwarted. In fact, last night at 15 places where it went into the misadventure, and yet again it has done the same thing. It's definitely going to backfire at Pakistan. We are getting a lot of inputs right now of how the damages have been inflicted to the Pakistani drones and the air assets that were pushed into action inside Indian boundary, and much damage is being reported about Pakistan, and Pakistan has already lost its air defense systems to India. Indian armed forces, they acted in the morning today after its misadventure on yesterday.
Yes.
So they've already lost their air defense systems. They have major headquarters in these areas. If we talk about Rawalpindi, Sialkot area, Karachi, Lahore, all these systems have been lost there. And now, once again, when the drones have been pushed inside India, India is retaliating in an appropriate manner. But we all must remember what the Foreign Secretary had said, that right now we are doing it proportionately. But if the escalation continues, we can go further and we can go all out with all our capabilities. So we need to watch the situation as it is escalating from Pakistan's side. India is
That's a very significant point. That's a very significant point you make, that India is responding proportionately. But the fact that, and you know, Shivani and Kamal, you both excellent correspondents on ground with your ear to the ground, and Amit, so are you, because the point I want to make is, you've been speaking to your sources who are actually telling you that when you talk about this escalation ladder, India is right on top of that escalation ladder. And this is where Pakistan, if it's losing its drones, if it's losing its rockets, its missiles, 3 aircraft, 1 AWACS, Kamal, that's a huge setback for Pakistan. How much pain can Pakistan endure before it sees the light of day? You know, what is the intelligence assessment? You've covered the Ministry of Home Affairs for so long. You cover a very sensitive border state of Punjab. What is Pakistan's capacity to endure such pain?
Well, one is to create chaos and confusion, but let me read out the PRO defense statement now. There is an official confirmation that the military stations at Jammu, Pathankot and Udhampur were targeted by Pakistani origin drones and missiles along the international border today. The PRO further says the threats were swiftly neutralized using kinetic and non-kinetic capabilities in the line established standard operating procedures. No casualties or material losses were reported, and India remains fully prepared. But let me tell you, Gaurav, as I was telling earlier, that this is an attack by swarm drone. Remember, first it was Pahalgam, then thereafter the civilians being targeted, and once there was a resounding effort by India as far as Operation Sindoor is concerned, and subsequently by the swarm drones which were really sent in, including in Rawalpindi, in the headquarters of Pakistani army. This is a retaliation all across northern India, and this is where key cities, and remember, even as far as escalation is concerned, earlier what we saw in Amritsar, in other cities like Gurdaspur, where they had attempted to send not just mortars but also smaller missiles in an attempt to disrupt not just normalcy in Jammu, Kashmir and Punjab, but this is obviously a sinister design by Pakistan. But clearly, as far as a response is concerned, this is tit for tat as far as Pakistan is concerned. But remember, more is coming in from India. This is something which has happened in the late night. This is obviously an attempt to create confusion. But as we have been saying all along, there are no casualties, there are no injuries. There's a blackout being carried out in several locations, including at the line of control where we are. Remember, we are inside, not to ensure that there is no light outside, doesn't give away location, but clearly this is upping the ante as far as Pakistan is concerned. Now, is this escalation going to be it? Especially with information coming in that one of the pilots may have been taken into custody, and this is what it guts as far as India-Pakistan is concerned. With rising tensions, what we've seen is people displaced at line of control, people in Punch being hurt, several of them being killed, but clearly this one has upped the ante, especially targeting not just defense installations in Jammu, Pathankot, Udhampur, but they've been effectively neutralized by the Indian defense system.
Oh, absolutely. You know, that bit of information that we are still waiting for an official word on is extremely sensitive. We have 3-4 bits of information that our viewers will be very interested in knowing and appreciating. I know you're all very proud of our armed forces, and our armed forces have done a great job. There's another bit of information, but I'm just waiting for it to come officially before I can share it with you. You know, Kamal's given you a hint, but we will get the official word in just a short while from now, hopefully. Fingers crossed. The military stations, now this is very significant. Pakistan has escalated yet again. That's a big, big statement that's coming in. Pakistan has escalated in Jammu. Pakistan has attempted to target Pathankot. Pakistan has attempted to target Udhampur. And Pakistani origin drones and missiles along the international border have targeted these areas today. All these threats were neutralized. They were neutralized using both kinetic and non-kinetic capabilities of India in the line with established standard operating procedures. The big thing is, and that's fortunate, no casualties have been reported, no material losses have been reported on the Indian side. India, there's a statement being put out by the Ministry of Defense, by the government, saying India remains fully prepared to defend its sovereignty and to ensure the safety of our people. And whatever steps need to be taken to protect our people, those steps will be taken. Some of these steps are very critical. The fact that Lahore has been targeted beyond Muridke is a very, very important step that is being made. Lahore being targeted is attacking the nerve center, the epicenter of terror, and India has hit the epicenter of terror in Lahore. I want to quickly, cut across to Amit Bharadwaj, my colleague who joins us for more on this big story. Amit, the fact that government has put out a statement is a very clear indication that right now the situation is such that if India carries out strikes like it has in Lahore, it's because Pakistan attempted to strike multiple cities in India and multiple military stations in India, including Jammu, Kashmir, Jammu, Pathankot and Udhampur. Udhampur is a very sensitive military location. The importance of Udhampur cannot be understated. Amit.
Right, Gaurav, right from the beginning of this trajectory, there is a Pahalgam terror attack. India carries out a very clinical attack on the terror bases within Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and Pakistan. We did not attack any of their military bases or, for that matter, civilians during this clinical attack where the breeding grounds of terror were demolished and destroyed in POK as well as Pakistan. What did Pakistan resort to? In the middle of night, heavy shelling, heavy artillery in the around the LOC as well as major military establishment towns of India were on target of Pakistan missile, but we successfully thwarted those attempts, and Indian armed forces ensured that Pakistan fails in its every attempt to attack India's very prominent and strategic establishments, even for the artillery shelling that has been done, especially in Uri sector. The locals out there say that since 1998 they had not witnessed this kind of heavy artillery and shelling from Pakistan. But why was that being done? If you look at the target of this shelling, these were the prominent centers of our hydropower project. So clearly means that Pakistan is wanting to escalate this particular situation.
Oh, that's a very important statement. Hold on. You've made a very important statement, and I want you to elaborate on this. I want you to elaborate on it. Is there a threat to India's hydropower centers? Is that what Pakistan attempted to do?
Yes, Gaurav, you just need to decode what has been happening in the Uri sector because yesterday as well, in the middle of the night, you had heavy artilleries and shelling happening in the sector, which has not witnessed this for the past 2 decades. Why did Pakistan suddenly wake up to this situation and decided that we need to target these villages in Uri sector, Salamabad, as well as Gingal? We know for a matter of fact that these are very strategic locations where our hydropower projects are located. NHPC project is located, and for instance, Gingal village, where we now will have to believe, because we don't have a choice, the kind of artillery shelling that has been done in Gingal could be the civilians are collateral damage, and the major target could be the NHPC's second hydropower project, which is based here. And what we are given to understand, there could be damages within the compound as well, but we are waiting for that final official word coming from the officials as well. So clearly the agenda of Pakistani forces seems to be very clear. Right now, when we are speaking in the Uri sector, what we had witnessed through the evening is that heavy artillery and shelling is being done from across the border. Obviously, the blackout and other precautionary measures have been already carried out with by the administration. I also need to put it out, Gaurav, that the administration was on its toe throughout the day when I was traveling across that sector, and the vulnerable villagers who live on these elusive villages. Obviously, we are not putting out the name of those villages right now, but
you're making a very important point, and I want Rajdeep to elaborate on it. Rajdeep, the government has now officially issued a statement, perhaps which gives the context of the strike that is taking place even as we speak in Lahore, Rajdeep.
Let's go through that Ministry of Defense statement. Military stations at Jammu, Pathankot and Udhampur were targeted by Pakistani origin drones and missiles along the international border in Jammu and Kashmir today. The threats were swiftly neutralized using kinetic and non-kinetic capabilities in line with established standard operating procedures. No casualties or material losses were reported. India remains fully prepared to defend its sovereignty and ensure the safety of its people. So that's a strong, clear message coming in from the Indian government, using kinetic and non-kinetic capabilities in line with established standard operating procedures. Give me the distinction, Gaurav, for our viewers, between kinetic and non-kinetic capabilities that are used in situations like this.
Rajdeep, the kinetic means that are being used by our armed forces right now are the S-400 systems that are neutralizing the threat. The kinetic force that is being used is like the force that's currently being used in places like Lahore, where their entire air defense system was neutralized. But the places that they're mentioning, Rajdeep, if you look at the places, line 1 of that military statement, of the government statement, the military stations at Jammu, Pathankot and Udhampur, amongst the most important strategic assets are in this area. Udhampur, Rajdeep, as you well know, is a very important command structure of India. If Pakistan was attempting to strike at the command structure, what does this indicate? That if Pakistan is using either its F-16s or its JF-17 Thunders and using its AWACS command and control system to guide that war.
And would they have importantly crossed, therefore, into Indian airspace? Because until now, the Pakistani Air Force had not crossed into Indian airspace. Are we presuming, whether it's the attack in Udhampur or their attempted attack in Jaisalmer, they crossed into Indian airspace?
So, Rajdeep, the nature of warfare has changed so much that with your BVRs or the beyond visual range missiles, you can hit a target almost 100 and 150 kilometers away or 200 kilometers away. It depends on the kind of BVRs that you have access to. And India and Pakistan both have access to these BVR missiles that can take an air-to-air or an air-to-ground target at much longer distances. You do not need to cross the LC or the international border or even come very close to it. The manner in which we have destroyed a lot of Pakistani assets, our fighters have stayed on our side and yet done the job that was given to them. So the nature of warfare is changing. The fact that your missiles are crossing the LC, the fact that your rockets are crossing the border is equally dangerous, if not more.
We still don't have details, though, and we will wait to see an official statement on how India has struck back. What we know for sure is India has ensured that there are no casualties or material losses that have been reported despite Pakistan's attempt to strike at bases in Jammu, in Udhampur and in Jaisalmer. Drones and missiles fired at the Udhampur base, clearly acts of provocation, pushing India up an escalatory spiral. Government of India making it clear India and the government is fully committed to defend the sovereignty of the country and ensure the safety of all Indians. Airports on high alert. Airports like Amritsar completely closed down now. The ministry issuing a formal brief statement on the Pakistani strikes at the moment. The big news, India has thwarted the Pakistani missile and drone attacks that were attempted at Jammu, Udhampur areas, Jaisalmer, and areas in the Kashmir Valley. Those have been thwarted. The Pathankot airbase was also targeted. That also has been not just thwarted, but importantly, 3 Pakistani planes have been shot down, including an F-16. And India has hit back at Pakistan, at Lahore. Details of that are still awaited. So that's the big story that's been building up. Our correspondents have fanned out late into the night into each and every corner where these attacks have taken place. We're being very careful not to identify locations in each instance and giving you deferred images to ensure the safety of those on the ground. Anmol Bali is with us. Also with us is Mir Farid in Srinagar. Shivani Sharma is still with us. Shivani, what are you picking up from your defense sources, particularly about how India now is responding to the Pakistani provocation when Pakistan fired these drones and missiles at Indian bases?
Rajdeep, we have a very big update for the viewers that not only the Indian Army and the Indian Air Force, but the Indian Navy is also at task as we speak. The operations are on, and Pakistan has tried to intrude into the Indian boundaries through the drones, and all those drones have been neutralized. But all the armed forces are together in a well-coordinated operation against this act of retaliation by Pakistan. The escalation that Pakistan is going ahead with, it is getting a befitting response from the armed forces of the country. And India was well prepared for this, Rajdeep, because when Operation Sindoor was being strategically prepared in Prime Minister Narendra Modi's monitoring, we've been seeing more than a dozen meetings happened that time, and this was under consideration. Then when Operation Sindoor happens, there will be a retaliation from Pakistan. So the response to this escalation was planned. So we are getting inputs that no casualty, no damage of property in all these locations where Pakistan has tried to hit India. There is no casualty reported, no loss of life has been reported. But it seems that Pakistan has been in last 2 nights testing the air defense systems of India. And that's what is happening. The umbrella, the shield over our skies is so strong that whatever coming in our aerial field is being neutralized. That's what we get to know. But along the line of control, the escalation from Pakistani side continues. There is heavy shelling that continues. The frequency of this shelling is very high this time. And ceasefire violations were there since last 14 days, but past 2 days have been seeing heavy artillery shelling. It continues not only in the Uri, Poonch, Tangdhar region, but also on a number of these sectors in the western border in Jammu and Kashmir, and also in Rajasthan, Rajdeep. So the situation is evolving. Every minute we are getting new updates, and what we are being told through the sources that tonight it's going to be a long operation because Pakistan, remember there was a meeting in Pakistan right after what happened in India when the air bases were destroyed in Rawalpindi, Lahore and Sialkot. There was a meeting there, and what we got to the sources that Pakistan has given its armed forces to go all out on India, and that's why we were expecting, and the defense forces were expecting this kind of an action from Pakistan. All on high alert. Operation goes on successfully as per the defense forces. And Pakistan has been inflicted with heavy damages during this operation that still goes on, Rajdeep.
We're also told a Pakistan Air Force AWACS has been shot down inside Punjab province of Pakistan. So clearly Pakistan suffering heavy losses today. 3 of their fighter planes shot down by India. We'll get more details on where exactly that happened. And what is very clear, India has hit Lahore. And as I was speaking to Gaurav earlier, hitting Lahore carries more than just symbolic significance. This is the heartland of Punjabi Pakistan. This is Pakistan, Punjab. This is the heartland of Pakistan's political capital. Chief Minister Maryam Sharif is the daughter of Nawaz Sharif. Shahbaz Sharif, former Chief Minister of Punjab, is the Prime Minister of the country. So hitting Lahore sends out a very strong signal to Pakistan that India means business this time. Operation not restricted to POK anymore. We saw this morning, India went into Sialkot, Rawalpindi, near the GHQ headquarters. There were drone attacks at the stadium in Rawalpindi. The Pakistan Super League has been pushed from Rawalpindi to Karachi, and now we've had reports of the attack in Lahore. Earlier today, also India making it clear in an official statement that they had neutralized air defense systems in Lahore. So Pakistan finding itself that every time it is trying to escalate, India is making sure that there is a measured and targeted response at those very places where Pakistan remains vulnerable. Importantly, to underline, Jammu, Udhampur, Pathankot bases are now safe. So the attempt that was made 2 hours ago has been kept under control. Gaurav.
Rajdeep, it's a very significant point. You see, India is not escalating, but when India is responding, there is an element of a punitive strike on Pakistan. When Pakistan targeted multiple locations, 15 locations it attempted to target across the country, that entire effort failed because India's air defense system is far superior, the S-400 system. And it's also integrated with the rest of our war-fighting capabilities. That integration, network-centric warfare is the buzzword. It's very important. And India has been able to successfully achieve network-centric warfare to a very large extent, especially in the, if I may, and I'm sorry, it's a little jargon, in MDO or multi-domain operations. You know, whether you're fighting a battle on land, in sea, undersea, in the air, in space, and cyber. In all of this, if you look at India's efforts to fight an integrated battle, Pakistan does not come up anywhere close. And it's that mindset that we've had, that we permitted Pakistan to punch far above its weight. It's only now that Pakistan is realizing that if it uses its AWACS, it loses its AWACS. And losing an AWACS, Rajdeep, is one of the biggest setbacks for Pakistan Air Force, because now, in a way, it is blind. The AWACS is your airborne early warning command and control system. So it's early warning because it's in the sky at 35,000 or 40,000 feet, Rajdeep. It can look at the enemy skies for good 1,000 kilometers or 600 kilometers or 500 kilometers, depending on how powerful the radars are. Now that capability is not there. It can look at multiple targets and then guide the fighter planes to attack those targets. So it is your, you have an air vice marshal up in the sky who is guiding multiple wing commanders and squadron leaders and flight lieutenants in those fighter planes. That young blood, go after that target, go after that target, go after that target. Now they can't. They've lost their AWACS. They've lost 3 fighter planes. It's a huge setback for Pakistan. And now Lahore is under attack. We have to see what is under attack in Lahore. We'll probably know in a while. Their airborne early warning system is down. Colonel Rohit Dev is a defense expert. He was a part of a very important division at the line of control during a very critical phase. He joins us on the broadcast. Colonel Dev, if you were to do the battlefield analysis right now, what would your appreciation of the situation be?
Right. Gaurav, I've been through Jammu in an offensive planning parameter and also in Jaisalmer when we had that situation in Uri thereafter. And I think Pakistan is following the right steps as we anticipate, and that's the only good thing. The bad thing is that it's targeting still the civilian areas. So be it as may, our attack was very, very clear when we attacked those 9 places, and we attacked few places in Pakistan per se. And we made that kind of a, knowledge exchange over your show the last time. Now, coming to what's happening today, they tried to, flirt over the area of Jaisalmer. Was not from any other point of view because their strike corps there is not fully prepared to launch, right? Yes. So they tried to do something in Jaisalmer because there is a very strategic asset in Jaisalmer. No names, no specifications, but it has an eye over the Karachi port. So ever since in the Arabian Sea, our fleet has been there in the Navy, a naval fleet. We have a direct communication of picking up assets going around the Karachi port and that line of sight area which we have. So Pakistan was worried. But the only mistake they have made is that in Jammu area, because Pakistan has enough tiers of obstacle systems, they are a little more easy in terms of offensive from the Indian side. We are also a little more protected because our own so-called habitation areas are closer to the border. Yes. And we get enough time there where they go from the Chakragal Bulge. They come up to Jammu, they go down through Kasur towards the areas of, the southern part into India. That's what we have to look at. But there is enough time to react. Here what the problem is, if the Indian side were to just shake up, the Arjun Brigade a little bit tomorrow morning, Pakistan will be in tatters because they do not know right from Bardmer to Pokhran. They don't have the advantage. Now, I will tell you the next escalation.
Good point you make, but I want to for a moment stay on the strategic aspect and not on the tactical operations or the brigade and div level operations that you're talking about for the moment, Rajdeep. It's the battlefield transparency, Rajdeep, which is now very critical. The fact that we are able to see across over hundreds of kilometers, that gives India the big advantage. It's a transparent battle.
What I'm trying to understand as a pure layman is how do you go up the escalatory ladder? And maybe you and Colonel Dev can explain that. We've had a situation, if you look at how things have panned out over the last few days, we have had India striking at terror infrastructure in Pakistan. The Pakistan response largely for the previous 2 days was artillery shelling across the LOC that led to the loss of innocent lives. Then Pakistan yesterday night, late last night, tried to use drones and missiles to target Indian areas across the border. India chooses this morning to respond by going right into the heartland of Punjab, Rawalpindi, Sialkot, Lahore, using our missiles and drones to target Pakistani air defense systems and neutralizing drones, particularly the one in Lahore, striking a stadium in Rawalpindi, not too far away from GHQ, Sialkot, where a number of terror bases are again located. That led today to Pakistan then trying to strike Jammu, Udhampur, Jaisalmer, Pathankot air bases using again missiles and drones. India's response has been to get into Lahore once again, send out a message. What happens next? I want to understand, are we heading into a tit-for-tat retaliation and how does it escalate? What happens next if Colonel, yes, go ahead.
So it's not going to be a tit-for-tat in the future. We have identified the assets to be destroyed to do two things. Hit the war-waging capability of Pakistan without entering Pakistan, whether it's from air or sea or from the indirect fire. We have these target lists prepared. So our response is going as per a target list for effect. The strategic change, which if you can correlate, being in media, is that 3 decades ago, when they used to hit Arnia, Jammu and that area near Ratnochak, Kaluchak without impunity, we used to just go to the talking table, drawing boards and things like that with Pakistan. What has changed is we have decided that if you hit our civilian assets, we will hit your civilian assets as well. I don't know if you know, something else happened even last night in a border area of Pakistan. Let's see if they talk about it, because we are not going to talk about it. We are very, very clear.
Colonel Dev, what I gave you the chronology of where we've reached at the moment.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
What happens next? Is the ball now, in a sense, in Pakistan's court? Every time Pakistan has tried to escalate, every time Pakistan has tried to escalate, we've hit back. Do we now go and take preemptive action? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm saying exactly that. So once you initiate the game, you don't have control. Just because you are thinking that they are doing something and we are reacting is the narrative which is built around currently in the system. You may be surprised that we are doing more than that. We are doing proactively, and that is not to be disclosed. So the narrative building is around a reactive model. But tomorrow, if it is going to escalate anywhere else, Karachi is a given target area. There are targets area of strategic interest which will be destroyed. And that is the way it's going to follow. And
so you're saying targeted specific assets could follow, but that's of course in the future. Let's get back.
It's already happening, Rajdeep.
But let's get back.
It's happening.
Rajdeep, it's happening. Colonel, give me a moment. Colonel, give me a moment. I from what my sources
give me
are
an example.
Colonel may know better. To the best of my knowledge, India hasn't targeted any civilian area in Pakistan. To the best of my knowledge. Point one. Point two, if I may. India is destroying Pakistan's war-waging capabilities. How? Pakistan's air defense system, especially their HQ-16s, their LV-80 or Lahore's air defense system. Rajdeep, it costs a whopping 1,800 crore rupees a battery. One destroying Lahore's air defense system puts Pakistan back by 1,800 crore rupees. Do they have that kind of money? They don't. Can they replenish it? They cannot. And that's not the only one that's been destroyed, Rajdeep. If you're losing an F-16, do you think America will give you another F-16? They will not give Pakistan another F-16. If their AWACS is gone, they're not getting another AWACS. So their war-waging capability is being destroyed.
Okay. Let me go to Amit Bhardwaj, joining us on the ground in much tougher circumstances. Amit, you're in one of the border areas. You've been telling us there have been blackouts for the last few hours. When you heard explosions till a couple of hours ago. What are you picking up now, Amit, where you are?
Well, Rajiv, as far as the blackouts are concerned, right from Srinagar to Baramulla to the Uri sector, all of it is complete blackout right now. Even the hotel establishments in Srinagar do not have, permission to give the power backup or power supply, and that's the situation right now. And all of this is happening in Srinagar as a precautionary measure. But when we speak about Baramulla or areas uphill towards Uri sector, that's more of because of the heavy artillery and shelling that's happening. What we can also tell our viewers is that not only the areas that were targeted by the Pakistani forces, the cowardly attack on the civilians that had happened in Uri sector, Pir Panjal range, the area has increased this night, and Kamalkot is the area where heavy artillery shelling is happening, and this the target seems to be the common civilians at this point in time. And remember, this area of Pir Panjal for the longest time had not witnessed this kind of artillery and shelling. At least that's what the civilians out here say, that for the past 2 decades they have not witnessed this kind of artillery shelling or shellings or mortars coming from the other side of the border. But this appears to be a cowardly act from the Pakistani establishment, because they also know that these are the civilian areas, and for the longest time there has been understanding between India and Pakistan both that they would not be violating the ceasefire CFVs in this particular area. But despite that, unprovoked artillery shelling and artillery
is that artillery
right now.
Is that artillery shelling still continuing, or has the artillery shelling stopped? A quick answer.
Well, Rajiv, in the area of Kamalkot right now, shelling is heavy. That's what we can tell our viewers right now. The agencies are responding to this situation. But as far as the other villages in Uri sector are concerned, many of these villages were already evacuated, and the villagers were brought to Baramulla city for their safety.
Right.
Back to you.
Let me go to Anmol Bali, who's also there amidst darkness. Anmol, what are you picking up at the moment? Area again, complete blackout across all the border areas of the country. We're also reporting that schools and colleges in Chandigarh will be closed. Airports of Chandigarh, Amritsar among those being closed. What are you picking up, Anmol?
Rather, basically, various state governments as the central government has taken precautionary measures, like all the schools in the bordering districts with the Pakistan border have been asked to go close or to go on off. We are here in the Pathankot and it's totally blackout, not only in the Pathankot, but Gurdaspur, Amritsar and other various bordering districts are having, we are seeing same kind of visuals, totally blackout. And earlier, around half an hour ago, we saw heavy blast coming from the army area, from where we are standing few steps away. And even I'll show you in the visual that Punjab police persons are also on the ground. They are monitoring the situation. They are here in the civilian area. I'll show you in the visual. Punjab police personnel are here on the ground. They're talking with the people and they're asking people to switch off the light of their motorbikes, cars, because a whole blackout situation has been imposed by the state governments. They have asked to cancel the leave of state government, Haryana, Punjab, Rajasthan. They have cancelled the leave of the employees, those who were on leave, and even they have called the government employees on the leave back to the work.
We are seeing both northern and western India complete blackouts in large parts of northern and western India at the moment, particularly in the border areas. Government wanting to take no chances at the moment. But the good news, Jammu, Udhampur, Pathankot bases safe. No casualties or material losses to India at all. So despite Pakistan's attempt to once again take us up an escalatory spiral, India has sent a firm response today. 3 Pakistani planes have been shot down, including 2 J-17s and F-16s, and 1 F-16. And India has thwarted Pakistan's missile and drone attacks and responded in kind by striking Lahore. And I think that distinction needs to be drawn between Pakistan attempting to strike a Jammu, Udhampur, Pathankot, India going right into Pakistan, Punjab, into Lahore, Rawalpindi and Sialkot this morning, and now striking back once again at Lahore. So the vulnerability of Lahore is something which India is exposing right through its Operation Sindoor. India making it very clear we are fully prepared to defend the country's sovereignty. Yes, there have been back-channel talks that are taking place. Dr. Jaishankar has spoken to the US Secretary of State and NSA, Marco Rubio, who's also dialed up Pakistan's Prime Minister, Shahbaz Sharif. We'll also go to the newsroom in a moment because a lot of people, Gaurav, are asking if they have flights to take in the next 48 hours. If I have an overseas flight, I want to go to San Francisco on an Air India flight, or I want to take a flight to any of the northern cities of the country, is it safe for me to take that flight at the moment or not?
So as of now, unless that airport is shut, the airspace is open in our country.
So I can take a New Delhi to San Francisco flight?
Well, the New Delhi to San Francisco flight anyway goes to Gujarat first, flies over the Arabian Sea, and then goes into a safe zone. Unless, of course, you're flying a non-Indian flag carrier. Pakistan, of course, has closed its airspace to flights from India, Indian flag flights or Indian operated flights.
So while the airports are on high alert, the only airports that have been closed are largely those in the border areas. Am I correct?
You're absolutely right, Rajdeep. Airspace remains open, but it's a very dynamic situation because in case Pakistan attempts to escalate again, and the manner in which Pakistan has attempted to escalate is not restricted to Jammu and Kashmir or Punjab. It's all across from Jammu, Kashmir, Punjab to Rajasthan and Gujarat. And we do not know, the night is still, it's not yet midnight. Last night their attempt was at 1 in the morning. India's response happened early in the morning, in fact in full broad daylight. And that's another point, Rajdeep. India is so confident of the manner in which we have air superiority right now. I'm saying air superiority and not air supremacy, that you're able to take a decision to strike even in broad daylight.
Okay, there's no decision on shutting down airports across the country. I think that needs to be reiterated because there was panic that airports across India were being shut down. It's only Amritsar, Chandigarh, Srinagar, where the airports have been closed. The border areas.
Close to the border areas and areas that Pakistan has attempted to target.
Okay.
And if it were to escalate and attempt to target, let's say, a Mumbai or a Delhi, because that is, look, these cities are absolutely safe. Pakistan may want to risk that escalation, but the cost for Pakistan will be so immense, Rajdeep, that Pakistan, again, you know, while he's a jihadi general and he's very unreasonable, but jihadi generals want to give that image that they are jihadi general. They're very reasonable when they see that they've been overwhelmed. Pervez Musharraf thought he'll get away with Kargil, but when he realized that hundreds of his soldiers were being killed on the Kargil heights, he sent Nawaz Sharif to America to sue for peace and let America play the mediator role. Right now, we are also told there's been a blast in Peshawar in Pakistan, Rajdeep.
Okay.
So there's been a blast in Peshawar. We were told that there was a situation that happened even in Balochistan yesterday. And look at this information, Rajdeep. It's a big story on the Pakistani AWACS, that Air Force Airborne Early Warning Command and Control System being shot down. We are getting you inside details of how big a damage this is for Pakistan.
And the other big story, of course, coming is that not only has Lahore been struck, but now there's a blast in Peshawar. Now, the significance of that is that this has been a traditionally volatile area in the Northwest Frontier Province. And what we've seen in Peshawar in recent times, a lot of local militias in Pakistan have claimed responsibility for targeting Peshawar. These are remnants of the Afghan war. The Tehreek-e-Taliban, Pakistan has struggled to deal with its local militias within. What we are now getting to understand is that there has been a blast in Peshawar. Pakistan's attempt in a way to target India forgets the fact that Pakistan itself has found enormous turbulence both in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, or what was NWFP at one time, and indeed in Balochistan as well. So Pakistan missile and drone attacks have failed. Their projectiles have missed their target. India has suffered no material damage in the last couple of hours. India instead has hit Lahore, downed an air warning system. 3 Pakistani planes, including 2 J-17s and 1 F-16, have been downed. And we await more details of what the nature of damage Pakistan has suffered in Lahore. We've been very careful not to reveal operational details at any stage. All we are saying is the big picture. But the blast in Peshawar, reported in a short while ago, more details are awaited. Remember, I keep repeating, Peshawar has been one of the more turbulent areas of Pakistan. So you can see how Pakistan is slowly getting boxed in when their major cities find themselves in turbulence. Lahore, Rawalpindi, Sialkot, now reports coming in of a blast being reported from Peshawar at the moment.
And vulnerable in Balochistan.
And you're vulnerable in Balochistan. Karachi, of course, is Pakistan's commercial capital, and that is the one city which Pakistan will now be worried about, because remember, Pakistan has tried to sort of, in a way, try and suggest that India has not shaken it, but clearly what happened, particularly in Rawalpindi earlier today, has shaken the Pakistani military establishment. Gaurav.
You're absolutely right, Rajdeep. And this was Pakistan's Achilles heel. The Pashtuns, they have a Pashtun Talaffuz movement. They have a freedom struggle that's going on in Pashtunistan, is what they seek in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province. The Afghans, the Taliban, they dislike the Pakistanis immensely, and especially after over a lakh of Afghans who were living in Pakistan were so rudely sent back to Afghanistan. So Pakistan's Achilles heel is actually Khyber Pakhtunkhwa and Balochistan. The 2,600 kilometer long Durand line, Rajdeep, is burning so bad that and is likely to burn so bad. We have Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur joining us on this special broadcast. Sir, as always, welcome. Colonel Rohit Dev stays with us on this broadcast. Air Marshal Bahadur, I want to understand from you, there are reports of massive losses for Pakistan in the air, from an AWACS to fighter planes. How would you assess these reports that are coming in, sir?
If this is true, then it is exceptionally good news, especially the one on the AWNC, because that's the heart of the air defense of any unit or of any country. So if an AWNC has been brought down, that's a very, very big loss. I just hope these reports are correct. As also the 3 fighters which have come down, the F-16, a very, very big symbolic value, because that's sort of revered by the Pakistan Air Force. So let's see, and I'm quite sure very soon we should be having pictures of that. And when you have such big losses, then obviously a rethink comes in, especially with the loss of an AWNC. Of how...
So for the benefit of our viewers, because everyone on the broadcast is looking at that piece of information very closely, loss of an AWACS, or the, as you put it, airborne early warning command and control system. For the benefit of our viewers, can you explain to us what this very important platform does, the eyes in the sky, how does it operate, and what it means for the battlefield scenario for Pakistan, for their Air Force?
Okay, we need to be sure whether it's an AWNC or an AWACS. The AWACS gives you a full 360-degree coverage, whereas the AWNC has a swordfish radar. So there is a little gap at the tail and at the nose. But that's covered by the way the aircraft flies. Now, that's an airborne control system. When, for example, when we talk of our Integrated Air Command and Control System, IACCS, that integrates the AWACS also on it. But the AWACS by itself becomes a node. It carries with it fighter controllers on board and a mission. These are mission specialists, and there is a commander, an air defense commander who visualizes what's happening on the radar screens in front of him. He gets inputs. He's got communications with aircraft in the air as well as with Air Force stations. So it's a flying control bed. If that is lost,
if that is lost,
gap comes in.
So they are going to be blind in the sky for the bigger picture of the battlefield. It's like Dhritarashtra cannot be told what the battlefield is if he doesn't know where is Sanjay. And now Pakistan has lost its Sanjay, Colonel Rohit Dev. Dhritarashtra was blind. Pakistan is now double blind in a way because they have no Sanjay left. Their fighter jets will be up in the sky. They won't have the bigger picture, Colonel Dev.
Who said that their fighter jets will be in the sky? They will be caught while climbing the sky. Just imagine, Gaurav, take 13 days with all the sound after the dastardly attack. They went on red alert. They mobilized their forces. They put their best weapons and best EW and best AD in their major cities to guard them. Can they guard?
Rajdeep, very significant point. If the best protected city, Lahore, is so vulnerable, it just shows you how hollow the Pakistani system is.
You see, what I think we are seeing in the last 48 hours clearly is Pakistan has resorted to very much the conventional way of taking on India, artillery shelling across the LOC, trying to believe that that is the muh-tod jawab that they'll give. Unfortunately, killing civilians. I mean, you just have to contrast.
16
I think you've got to contrast the pinpoint targeted attacks on places like Murid-ke, on Bawalpur, where the Jaish-e-Mohammed and the Lashkar-e-Toiba have their headquarters. I remember going to Murid-ke and, meeting some of the Lashkar leaders many, many years ago. And it was all... Hafiz Saeed wasn't there at that time, but they were all... It was all out in the open. I met Syed Salahuddin at the Hizbul Mujahideen headquarters in Rawalpindi, barely a couple of kilometers away from the GHQ. So it was all in the open. It was all, and this is of course...
And a couple of kilometers from GHQ, Syed Salahuddin was operating.
That's right. And this was all a little before 9/11 happened. 9/11 happened, opened up again a can of worms, showed as the Al-Qaeda, operations took place, partly existed in Pakistan and partly across the border. And there were Pakistani news agencies that were willing to take you to meet Osama bin Laden. I'm talking just before 9/11, charging you a fee for that. So it was all very open. Pakistan's involvement, sponsoring, financing and arming of these terror groups for decades has taken place in the open. In the past, whenever, after Balakot, there was an element of deniability that the Pakistanis could resort to, claiming nothing has been hit. Now what you found is there is enough evidence in the funerals taking place, the Lashkar command. To me, the graphic example of how Pakistan has turned into a failed rogue state is to watch the Lashkar commander's funeral taking place, led by another Lashkar commander, and the entire police and military brass is present and wreaths in honor of that terrorist are placed there. So clearly
by the
Pakistani army leadership and the Pakistani army chief. So I think what this has done is fully exposed in a way Pakistan's involvement with terror groups. And I think that's significant. I want to go to Sunil Bhatt. Sunilji Bhatt has had a very, very difficult evening. I can tell anyone who's gone through it that what Sunilji has gone through cannot be easy. He was for a long time in a bunker, with explosions taking place around him. He's moved now to a safer spot in Jammu. But Sunil, what do you want to tell us?
Rajdeep, there is blackout in more areas now. Earlier, electricity supply had been restored, but now we are witnessing blackout again in many parts of Jammu city. And what we are learning from our sources is that it has been done as a precautionary measure. People have been advised again by the administration, by the civil defense volunteers, that people should confine themselves to their homes. They should not venture out. They should not panic. There are agencies of the government who are at the service of the people, and helpline numbers are also there. They can contact the administration, but people are having a very difficult time. People are in panic, and people feel that a full-fledged war has broken out. And since there is electricity supply was cut off, so rumors also started doing the rounds. So it created more panic and more fear in people, although now there is some semblance of normalcy as far as civilian areas are concerned in Jammu city, because people now feel that there are not going to be any explosions or any blasts, because we have been successful we have been successful to foil the nefarious designs of the enemy. Pakistan tried to target the Jammu airport, other defense installations in Udhampur and in the neighboring state of Punjab, but our air defense system was already activated. The Sudarshan Chakra was activated, and we were successful in foiling the nefarious designs of the enemy. And now our air warriors are hitting Pakistan very hard. A befitting reply is being given to Pakistan, because it's Pakistan who is now escalating the matters, and we can't remain silent. We will give a befitting reply to Pakistan. But the people, particularly Rajdeep, who are living near the line of control and India-Pakistan international border, they are having a very, very difficult time, because they are facing the brunt of Pakistani shelling. Already we have lost so many lives in Punch district of Jammu and Kashmir. Many people have been injured. They are battling for their lives in different hospitals, and people have also fled their homes. This has also triggered an exodus from border villages. Administration has also evacuated many people. Relief camps have been set up. People have been given shelter there. They are being provided all kinds of facilities there. So administration has swung into action, and all precautionary measures are being taken, and all agencies of the government are on alert mode, and they are ready to meet any kind of eventuality. People have been advised that they should not panic. There are helpline numbers. They can contact the administration if they need any kind of help. Rajdeep, back to you.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you, Gaurav, interesting, the Sudarshan Chakra. Can you explain the Sudarshan Chakra to our viewers?
So, Yogeshwar Sri Krishna, Bhagwan Krishna had a Sudarshan Chakra. And as you know that story of Shishupal, Shishupal had committed 100 sins, and Yogeshwar Sri Krishna would forgive him each time because he was a relative. It was only after that 100th sin that he used the Sudarshan Chakra, killed him, and the Sudarshan Chakra came back to him. And it's said usually the Sudarshan Chakra is the most potent weapon that you have. India's S-400 system, as AVM Bahadur will tell us better, is a very potent weapon platform. It's again the best in the world. And this
Explain what it does. Explain
it's a
to us
missile
what it
defense
does.
shield.
It's a missile defense shield.
And it is, it's road mobile. It's based on trucks. It's a Russian origin. It has these canisters that have the missiles in them. It has a radar system. It has a command and control system. Now, those radars, Rajdeep, they scan across a very wide area. They can look at multiple incoming threats, and they can destroy them at various distances, 400 kilometers away, 200 kilometers away, and even 50 kilometers away. That's not all.
Purely indigenously made?
No, made in Russia. 100% made in Russia. Very expensive. I think 39,000 crore is what we've paid for 5 such systems. 3 have come. The other 2 couldn't come because of that war between Russia and Ukraine. Rajdeep, it can take down a threat which is as low as 10 meters, and it can take down a threat which is at 50,000 feet, which is the operating envelope of a fighter jet.
And presumably 2 consecutive nights, the Sudarshan Chakra has protected the people of this country.
And will continue to do so the way it has been deployed. Again, what Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur was telling you, the integration of India's war fighting capabilities in the air, on ground, including with the Indian Navy's P-8Is, which is actually American origin aircraft, on the Boeing platform. It's it's a long-range maritime reconnaissance aircraft, which is like a flying frigate. It can even fire missiles. It can take down a submarine. That's been used by Indian Navy to scan the skies over Galwan and keep an eye on Chinese. So it's a maritime reconnaissance aircraft, but can be used there also.
Air Vice Marshal Bahadur, you wanted to make a point. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a point. While we talk of the S-400, the 3 systems we have got and the huge ranges that they have, that's also integrated into our IACCS, the Integrated Air Command and Control System. But please don't forget the fact that we have other radars, the Indra radars which are there, the Russian origin radars which are there, which are placed at various stations, at various, VAs and VPs, because the S-400, there are only 3 systems. Okay, so those smaller radars which protect a localized area are very, very vital. I was in Jammu. I was station commander Jammu in Parakaram. When we almost went to war, and we would have seen similar things as is happening right now. We didn't go there. I know, I can't talk about it, but how the way the system is configured to make sure that nothing comes in, starting on off from Punch down south till Pathankot takes over. You know, Pathankot is a major airbase.
Right.
So that is what it is. And if I may just add one word about the Jammu civilians, you know, since we almost went to war, the amount of the rapport that we had with the civilians of Satwari and Jammu, basically, with the civil administration, the DC, it was tremendous. In fact, to rehabilitate our runway in case we were bombed, the MES contractor started one day dumping, you know, all the bricks and the cement and everything. We said, how come you are doing this? You will not get paid because I don't have the authority. The guy says, sir, paisa dekha jayega. Let me just dump. So, I mean, it's a tremendous effort there out in the field, which Sunilji, if he goes and speaks to people out there, will understand.
Okay, it's very interesting your description both of Operation Parakram, where India showed remarkable strategic restraint. Obviously, those floodgates have now opened. Obviously, the Pakistani establishment has pushed itself into an escalatory spiral and perhaps doesn't know.
It's also the leadership, Rajdeep, because did that strategic restraint work in 2002?
We don't know.
We've had terror attacks in our country subsequently. 2006.
Yeah, but we've had
200 people died in Mumbai.
Gaurav and I have a slight difference. We've had terror attacks post Uri and Balakot, and we've seen, as Pahalgam showed. Let's be very clear. The
but
Pakistan
no 26/11, nothing in the rest of the country.
Breaking the back of the Pakistan jihadi factory is the challenge.
Yes.
If we can do it, we need to do it, because that is the only way we are going to be able to protect ourselves. But that's another political debate. Whether we've sent out that kind of firm message for Pakistan to wake up and smell the coffee is something we can only hope for. What is very clear is India has made a very clear statement. We will defend our sovereignty. We have every right to defend ourselves. Pakistan cannot get away with the impunity that it has in the past. There will be retaliatory costs that Pakistan will pay, and kinetic action will be taken. We can argue whether strategic restraint works, whether kinetic action works. Either way, the Pakistani army state will have to change, in my view, for anything to truly work. I'll bring you in, Colonel Dev, in a moment. I'm going to take a break at this point. Gaurav is going to continue. Just to report, Pakistan's missile and drone attacks on India today have failed. Pakistan projectiles missed their target. India has suffered no material damage. Instead, it is Pakistan that suffered heavy damage today. 3 Pakistani fighter jets shot down by India. There's been a blast in Peshawar in Pakistan. India has struck at Lahore. Exact details of that are still awaited. Net. Okay, as we get to midnight, I'll give you a point. Go ahead.
Yeah, I want to serve you a dessert before you leave.
Please do.
The Pakistanis were there at the funeral of the terrorists, right?
Yes.
When they mobilize, their own doctrine says that the command and control of this terror headquarters is taken over by some military elements initially. So that is why when you see Bhavalpur, Muridke and Sialkot, now let the Pakistanis says why they were there. And we don't know, because last time we killed a crow. I don't know who we killed this time. So that's the jalebi for you. Have a nice dessert, and we'll see you in the morning.
Absolutely right. I completely agree with you, Rajdeep, that the military structure in Pakistan has to go. But for that military structure in Pakistan to go, they have to be defeated. That strategic restraint of 2002 unfortunately did not do, because if you remember, when Atal Bihari Vajpayee went to Islamabad for the summit, Parvez Musharraf pledged, I will not let my territory be used for terror against India. He gave it in writing. Did that happen? 2006, we lost 200 people in your city and mine, Mumbai, in those serial train blasts. Then in 26/11, we lost another 166. So that strategic restraint did not work.
We almost came close. The closest we came to actually achieving a permanent peace was between Manmohan Singh and Musharraf, where if their 4-point formula had actually gone through, you might have had permanent peace in Jammu and Kashmir. And it is my belief.
What year was that?
That was 2005, 6, if I'm not mistaken, 2005. Musharraf then, of course, goes out of power. My limited,
He did not at
my
that time,
limited
but
point,
permit me to
and,
tell
and
you-
this is another debate for another day, until you are able to achieve a peaceful solution to the problem of Jammu and Kashmir, you're not
It
going
has
to win.
nothing to do with Jammu and Kashmir. Rajdeep. That is
Pakistan's
the-
army state will be in a perpetual conflict with you.
No,
The relevance, the basis of the Pakistan army state is, as Zulfikar Ali Bhutto said, to try and get into a 1,000-year war with
They
India.
cannot afford
but
a
that's
1,000-year
another debate
war.
for another day.
But I want
Gaurav, not on
facts,
no, Gaurav,
just
not on
one
today.
fact.
Not
when
on
he
today.
was promising you peace, he was planning 26/11. That fact must be told
No,
to
no,
the
no,
world.
no, that's
Musharraf
Gaurav.
wanted peace. Ajmal Amir Kassab was being trained exactly the same
There
time
will be
to attack you in Mumbai to kill 166 people.
I am only going by actual official records put on in a book form by the likes of Satinder Lamba. There are various people who are involved. Let's not debate that. At the moment, the big story, sources telling us a Pakistani fighter jet
has been shot down. Two drones
in
over Nowshera.
2 Pakistan drones neutralized in Nowshera. Blast in Peshawar. India has hit Lahore. When you look at the sum total of those headlines, today has been a day when India has sent a very, very strong, firm message to Pakistan. We will protect our sovereignty. We don't want to go up this escalatory ladder, but if you choose to do so, we have every right to respond in our self-defense.
One Pakistani fighter jet has been shot down over Pathankot also. Rajdeep, this is huge. This is huge. The man.
So I'm presuming these are three. This is one of the three.
It just goes on.
These are one of the 3 Pakistani jets.
Oh,
One was
absolutely.
Jaisalmer, one is Pathankot, and there is a third.
There is a third, but all this information in terms of when it comes officially, I can even give you a little more information. I will wait for that information to be made official. But you know that
It's close to midnight. Gaurav and I will meet again tomorrow.
And we'll have a lot more news for you. We will
Sure.
through the night tonight.
Absolutely.
Rajdeep, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
For being a part of this absolutely outstanding effort to bring you all the news as India continues to battle Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. Now, 3 Pakistani jets is what sources are telling us have been downed. What I can also tell you from what sources are telling India today, multiple Pakistani drones have been neutralized. There's been a blast in Peshawar and India is targeting certain locations in and around Lahore. So the situation is very live. Remember yesterday, sirens, you have preventive action, a blackout that's happening across multiple locations in our country right now as we prepare first to defend our borders and then to neutralize the threat at source. The point that is being made is India is very systematically degrading Pakistan's war-fighting ability. Remember, Pakistan is a pauper state. Pakistan has very little money. It is living on borrowed money and arms. It barely generates any revenue of its own to sustain its army, which has given itself an 18% increment or an 18% raise. I fail to understand how an army that failed Air Marshal Bahadur and Colonel Dev one by one, that has failed in every operation, continues to wear all those ribbons and medals and gives itself an 18% hike in defense budget and performs so poorly in combat. And I'm not belittling the adversary. I know it's a very powerful adversary. But looking at the situation on ground right now, Air Marshal Bahadur, how would Pakistan respond now that there are reports of it losing an airborne early warning command and control system, multiple fighter planes, and a large amount of drones? How easy or difficult is replenishment for Pakistan?
You have to link this with the diplomatic efforts that must be going on right now. We know our External Affairs Minister has spoken to Secretary Rubio as well as their NSA. So obviously, huge things are happening even as we speak. Now, if we have made our intentions clear, if we had wanted to close down the interaction with Pakistan that was happening, then when they struck us last night and we engaged all their drones with our air defense system, at that point we could have called it quits to say, okay, you tried to attack us, we neutralized you, and let's talk peace. But
Yes.
we didn't. We launched our UAVs, our Harrops and Harpy UAVs in the afternoon to convey a point, to say that this is just not on. Now the ball
But
is
that is
totally
after his
Pakistan.
attempt. Yes.
Yeah, that's correct. So that is so the point is the ball is totally in their court, and now they would be sitting down and analyzing exactly where they stand vis-a-vis our determination and our political will. Plus, the pressures must be coming on. I don't think they have got so much support from the West Asian and Arab countries as they had earlier. Turkey is a different matter. China would like to stay away, may give the arms and ammunition, but will strike and stay away. So I personally feel that come tomorrow.
Okay. Okay, give me a moment as we try to reestablish that link. We've lost our connection for a moment. India Today's finest team of reporters on ground zero, getting us 360-degree perspective on the story. I have Kamaljeet Sandhu joining me on the broadcast. I have Shivani Sharma joining me on the broadcast. And I have Mir Fareed with me. Sunil Ji Bhatt, Anmol Bali. It's midnight, but our reporters are right there on the field because the threat, there is clear and present danger. Quickly, Shivani, let me quickly come to you for an update before I bring in Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu and Anmol into this conversation. Shivani, where you are, I hope you are safe. What can you tell us? The LC, the line of control, silent, or is it once again hotting up after that massive barrage that had happened earlier?
Gaurav, seemingly it is a bit silent now in past few minutes, and there was heavy shelling that was going on, though this is still on. The LC remains activated, but yes, the frequency has gone down now. What we can get the sense from the ground here in the Uri sector, and we've been witnessing a lot of reports, inputs that are coming in from multiple villages out there. There have been some damages to the property in Indian side, of course, and there were ambulances that were carrying people, evacuating them, the ones who were in the range of this RT shelling. We are yet to get the figures of this injury that has happened, but multiple ambulances in this area have been activated. They've been taken to hospitals, and the LC remains activated. India has been retaliating considerably on Pakistan's side, as we are reporting that there are developments. Multiple cities in Pakistan, including Lahore and areas around, have been targeted by India. They've been engaged by India. Multiple drones of Pakistan that were neutralized, not only in Jammu area, but on the western sector in Jaisalmer too, in Naushera also. So this is what is going on. Reportedly three Pakistani fighter jets have been shot down here in Indian territory, and more official inputs are awaited. Gaurav, we have a lot more that we are getting to the sources, but since this is an evolving situation, we are waiting for confirmation from the officials. But yes,
I completely agree with you, Shivani.
The situation remains fluid and developing. There is...
You know, India Today's finest team of reporters, and such a privilege to work with the finest. Shivani, Kamaljeet, Anmol, our entire team of reporters, and my colleague Sandeep Unnithan with me here in the studio. It's actually a treat to be able to get you news first, fast, most accurate, authentic. Of course, in the fog of war, there are some situations where there are grey areas, and that's why we, you know, like Shivani was mentioning, we have a lot more information, but we are waiting to give you that information, and probably some of it will be with you with the morning tea, Sandeep, because India is equally good at serving tea. And before I bring in Sandeep, Kamal, where you are, all well, all safe, what can you tell us both about the situation at LC, the borders, and the internal security?
Well, the situation seems to have calmed down. We have spoken to top officials, and let me tell you, official sources are confirming that the worst is over. The drone attacks are no longer taking place. Most of the drones have been neutralized very effectively by our defense system. So say there is a swarm drone attack which took place in multiple locations across Jammu and Kashmir and in Punjab. But meanwhile, they were effectively dealt with. But yes, this was an effort to create panic, chaos. But earlier, what we saw was India responding especially to the sort of artillery shelling which was done on innocent civilians in Poonch, in Uri and Tangdhar and elsewhere. But clearly, as far as Pakistan is concerned, they were sending in drones and smaller missiles targeting 15 of our cities, after which what we've seen is a very planned, precise drone drone attack take place, including in Rawalpindi, in the general headquarters of army in Pakistan. But meanwhile, what we can also tell you is that this looks like a tit-for-tat measure. Remember, no defense installation or other installation has been harmed. There's no loss of life. There has been no injury to anyone. So yes, it does look like that this was done in a symbolic sense that Pakistan can actually do it. This is to create or instill fear in people, create a sense of chaos. But clearly the way things were, and initially, because remember, when swarm drones really come in, they have a capacity to attack. So all this is obviously, but again, the defense system was activated very, very quickly. These drones were neutralized. But this obviously looks like an escalation or one-upmanship, at least by Pakistan, which is going to be dealt very effectively in the next couple of hours or so. India has already shown that it is superior in its military might. The way we've fended off previously their attacks, whether it's in Amritsar, Gurdaspur and elsewhere, and meanwhile...
huge story on India today. The Indian Navy has attacked Karachi. Indian Navy opens another front, the first time since 1971. India is going for the jugular. Indian Navy has targeted Karachi. This has happened for the first time since 1971 as part of Operation Trident, and when Karachi was struck in 1971, Karachi was burning for 11 days. Half the Pakistan Navy flotilla had sunk in or around the harbour in 1971. But now, once again, Karachi has been targeted. I want to bring in Sandeep Unnithan. Few people know Indian Navy's might better than Sandeep Unnithan. Sandeep, Navy has targeted Karachi. This is huge right now.
Huge, Gaurav, and you know, it brings back memories of 1971, 54 years back, when Indian missile boats in the span of less than 30 minutes staged the 20th century's largest ship-to-ship missile engagements. In less than 30 minutes, they had sunk a destroyer, a minesweeper, and a merchant ship bringing ammunition for the Pakistan military. And of course, they targeted the fuel tanks at Karachi, setting Karachi ablaze. And that was followed by a second attack, Operation Python, a few days later, where they targeted multiple ships of the Pakistan Navy, forcing the Pakistan Navy, bottling the Pakistan Navy up in Karachi. So that is very clearly something that would bring uncomfortable memories of a naval defeat back to Pakistan.
You know, why would Pakistan use terror as an instrument of state policy when Pakistan knows the situation on ground and the actual situation? Unless Pakistan does not know facts at all. Pakistan has a very tiny coast, barely 1,000 to 100 odd kilometers. It has multiple ports. It's learnt its lessons after 1971. So it has Karachi, it has Ormara, it has Pasni, it has Gwadar, which is practically a Chinese port, and Jivani. So if you look at the Pakistani port, these are all the ports, the military ports or the civilian ports that they have. Of course, they have some more smaller ones, but if they're bottled in all across this 1,000 kilometers and the much larger Indian Navy all around in the North Arabian Sea, this is huge, Sandeep.
This is huge indeed, Gaurav. And, you know, I'm just thinking about that speech that General Asim Munir gave in Pakistan on the 16th of April, where he said that Pakistan was going to be a hard state, and he envisaged Pakistan as being a hard state. Now, nearly a month later, it seems to be in an extremely hard spot. Is this the kind of hard state that General Asim Munir envisaged for him and his countrymen? This is unprecedented, Gaurav. I mean, this is the kind of situation the Pakistan military has got into after Kargil. That's almost 26 years later. It is once more time for humiliation for the Pakistan military.
You know, when I was covering the Kargil war in 1999, the instructions from then Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee to the Indian Air Force was do not cross the LC for the Indian Air Force. We lost a lot of soldiers because we did not cross the line of control, and we were only hitting with the Pakistani soldiers when they came this side. We were not even destroying some of their very strong military installations. Look at how India has changed over the past 25 years from Atal Atal Bihari Vajpayee to Manmohan Singh to a Narendra Modi who says, go with what you have, destroy terror at source. Sandeep, this is huge that military jihad infrastructure is being targeted perhaps like never before. Lahore, Muridke, Bahawalpur, Sialkot, now even Karachi.
Absolutely, Gaurav. And 25 years is what we are looking at, that reign of terror that General Musharraf began after Kargil, after having his face rubbed in the heights of Kargil. He launched one of the worst attacks on Kashmir, the kind of jihadi attacks that we saw. We saw suicide bombers, Fidain attacks, all of it hitting Kashmir, where you had the body toll of over 2,000 casualties every year. And then the terror started spreading through the Indian mainland. When the Pakistan military was emboldened, when we didn't strike them after the attack on Parliament, they started spreading into Indian cities, Delhi, Jaipur, Gujarat, in Mumbai, Bengaluru, all across the mainland. And then 26/11 happened. And now, 2025, a quarter of a century later, the needle has moved decisively. All options are on the table. The armed forces are attacking Pakistan in a way that they have never struck before. The Air Force, the Army, and now even the Navy.
We kept thinking, and first it was the surgical strike that took place after Uri. It was Army. Balakot was Air Force. This time it was Air Force. And we kept asking the Navy chief, ab ki baar Navy ka war. And it's actually happened. Navy ka war is big. I have Geeta Mohan, our foreign affairs editor, with me on this special broadcast. Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur stays with me. Colonel Rohit Dev with me on this big story. Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur, your military analysis on Indian Navy striking Karachi. What do you make of this, sir?
Big expansion of what's going on right now, because you are hitting the underbelly of Pakistan, especially since that's the commercial capital and the most important port of Pakistan. So depending on, as things become clearer and what we have struck, with what we have struck, these are two different things. Things should get clearer. But the very fact that if things have happened down south in Karachi, then a lot of attention, a lot of logistics would get transferred from Pakistan's eastern front, that is our front, towards Karachi, because that is, just as Lahore is so important, so is Karachi, because that's the door to Pakistan as far as all the supplies, the logistics, commercial shipping are concerned. The Pakistan Navy is small. We are much larger as a Navy, much more potent. So let's see how this plays out. This is very early days, and let's hope you are able to get some more information on what exactly is going on there. On the social media, there are some shots, but we have to be careful so that we don't disseminate something which is incorrect.
We're making it very sure. All information coming in goes through a system of vetting. Navy attacking Karachi is big. I have General Atta Hasnain joining me on the broadcast. Geeta, as far as India's foreign policy is concerned, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar and had a chat with Marco Rubio, Secretary of State and NSA. What information can you add about the diplomatic efforts? Because I believe Rubio also spoke to Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif.
And look at the readout, the huge difference in the readout between what he said to External Affairs Minister Jaishankar and what he said to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif. On the one hand, extending support to India, saying that America stands with New Delhi when it comes to this fight against terrorism. But to Shehbaz Sharif, he said that, again, regretting what happened, but also said that Pakistan needs to rein in the terror industry in Pakistan. Not exactly in the words that I've put it in, but paraphrasing what exactly Marco Rubio said, that they should stop the terror factories in Pakistan. So that's America lecturing Pakistan on a day when we are seeing a massive escalation. What you just broke is very important, Gaurav, because at this point in time, everybody was talking about how is India going to retaliate. It's not about the little escalatory moves that we saw through the evening. It's now that we're talking about the real escalation. India going into Karachi, the Karachi port. That certainly is going to be massive. There is a lot of conversation and chatter. We can't confirm nor deny. There's no official confirmation on what's happening in Pakistan. But Gaurav, a lot of chatter on many people within the army circles in Pakistan not happy with General Asim Munir. Is he in trouble? Is there
absolutely.
Going to be...
You know, that man has taken Pakistan down a very slippery rope. And I want our viewers to know, on India Today, we said that man Asim Munir is dangerous for Pakistan. He's not good for Pakistan. He's a self-seeking jihadi general. And look at Pakistan's history. General Hasnain, before I bring in Sandeep onto this conversation, a jihadi general who, you know, we were discussing was a combination who saw himself a little like Muhammad Ali Jinnah and saw himself as a Ziaul Haq, and a combination of Zia and Jinnah cannot be good for Pakistan. Both of them took Pakistan down a very, very slippery road. But what do you make of Karachi under attack right now by the Indian Navy, General Hasnain?
First of all, I was expecting a escalation in a different domain, and I did expect that something would happen either in the maritime domain or perhaps a maneuver on the ground, which can be either from the Pakistani side or our side, which would show intent on the ground. Now, that would be something very dangerous. So I think what India has done in terms of, you know, sort of exploiting the maritime domain, sending in, I am told, even the aircraft carrier is in that general area somewhere, and targeting Karachi. You can always pull back from this. You can pull back comparatively easily. But if you make a ground maneuver at this time, it becomes something which is very, very difficult to control and sort of stop at any time, because it happens on a broad frontage. It happens with a great amount of depth. The Navy's comparative thing is that it's got greater flexibility in its employability. I think this is a smart thing which India has done in terms of opening up another domain and putting pressure on Pakistan. And as you are saying very correctly and identifying that there seems to be internal pressure building up on General Asim Munir himself. And we know that he's been on a slippery path for a fairly long time. You yourself have just described him very well. His character is such. He is known to be a very slippery kind of a character, and he has displayed all those qualities in the recent past. I will not be surprised in the next 1 or 2 days if you find some efforts to try and displace him.
Okay,
so be
sir,
it.
stay with me. Yes, stay with me. I have Shweta Singh joining me on this broadcast. There's more breaking news joining in as she joins us with that information. Shweta, this is something that hasn't happened since 1971. Targeting Karachi, and the Indian Navy is far, far superior than Pakistan. Shweta, get us the latest.
Gaurav, we saw how India actually retaliated after last night's attempts by Pakistan. The Karachi airport was already shut. Now was the time for the Karachi port to be shut. And Karachi port is so important for Pakistan. It is their nerve. Now, Pakistan had spoken about Kashmir being their jugular vein. Now with Karachi being destroyed, with each and every attempt that is being made by Pakistan and how the Indian forces are shutting them down, Pakistan will realize what and where in their entire map are their veins, their jugular veins, which are being cut by the Indian Army, the Indian Navy, the Indian Air Force. With the Indian Navy now jumping into the fray, Karachi is getting to see its worst nightmare after 1971. We know for how many days Karachi kept burning during 1971, and they were thinking that this time it will just be a blockade. Well, even when we talk about a blockade, it's not just because it completely finishes Pakistan. It is their center, which is absolutely necessary for them to stay alive. And at this point, when the economy of Pakistan has gone to the rubble, it is actually a very big question how Pakistan is going to repeat what it tried to do this evening, how it tried to actually annihilate our cities. Pakistan has to be taught a lesson, and it is not just the artillery guns at the line of control. not just the missiles that are being sent across, but the Indian Navy finally in action, Gaurav. Really, you would also want to talk about the weapons that are being used, the warship that is being used, but in the interest of national security, let us just keep it at that the Indian Navy from the Arabian Sea has launched an attack on Karachi.
You know, I'm reminded of those famous words, lines of Ramdhari Singh Dinkar, Rashtrakavi Ramdhari Singh Dinkar, सच पूछो तो शर में ही बसती है दीप्ति विनय की, संधि वचन संपूज्य उसी का जिसमें शक्ति विजय की. And this is that Shakti Vijay ki that India is clearly displaying in this combat. Sandeep, Shweta, stay with me. We will take this forward. This is peace through strength that India seeks to achieve, Sandeep.
Absolutely, Gaurav. And you know, when the Indian Navy joins the fray, it is, as General Atta Hasnain was mentioning, that we've moved the conflict into another dimension. And this is the dimension where India has huge overmatch over Pakistan. In the maritime domain, we possibly outnumber Pakistan by 5 or 6 to 1. And that is the kind of ratios that the Indian Navy is able to bring to bear on Pakistan's jugular. As Shweta just said, it's possibly not Kashmir, but it's actually the maritime route that Pakistan is so critically dependent on for everything, for imports, for exports, for oil, energy. Everything is critically dependent on over the seas, and particularly through Karachi. And if the Indian Navy were to appear at the gates of Karachi, Pakistan would start worrying very, very greatly. And that
No, but explain this to me, Sandeep, because, you know, while Karachi burning was a reality in 1971, I'm sure Pakistani Navy planners would have learned their lessons. They would have their mines, their minesweepers. They would have laid mines. I mean, we have the MIGM, those acoustic, mines. We are just testing some of the new equipment. But Pakistan is also a very well-trained Army, Navy and Air Force.
Yes, but when they start laying minefields outside Karachi or along the coast, Gaurav, they are denying. Nothing comes in either, and they're so dependent. They absolutely need the sea route to survive, because most of their energy comes from over the sea. They have a requirement of something like 500,000 barrels of oil per day, and that most of it comes over the seas, and they need an open sea for that, which is why the prospect of a maritime blockade or any strike from the sea, which will keep maritime traffic away from the North Arabian Sea, would deeply, deeply worry the generals in GHQ Rawalpindi, particularly General Asim Munir. Gaurav.
Okay, you know, we are live throughout because our armed forces are live throughout protecting our borders, and their valor has to be reported so that you know you are very well protected from that radical Islamist terror state Pakistan. And General Hasnain, before I bring in Geeta Mohan and Air Vice Marshal Manmohan Bahadur into this conversation, I want to understand from you, Pakistan, we work on sea control. We want to dominate the seas, but Pakistan works on the sea denial concept, and that's why it's worked extensively on its submarines. It's been getting a lot of equipment from the Chinese Navy, and they've been strengthening Gwadar as a port. How concerned should we be? We are targeting Karachi, but in their submarines could be lurking somewhere in the Arabian Sea and attempt to strike us from behind. You're on mute, General.
Sorry.
Go on, sir.
Yeah, a good point you brought out, Gaurav. There's no doubt that the moment you make a maneuver of this kind, you have to guard your flanks. Any military man will tell you that the moment you forget your flanks and forget your rear, you start becoming very, very vulnerable. So here, obviously, there is a lurking threat under the sea, which is there. They have their subs very much out at the moment. They have been also, in conjunction with the PLA Navy, doing a lot of exercises in this area, right from Djibouti to Gwadar. This area of the triangle of the Northwest Indian Ocean has been under the domination of the PLA Navy and the Pakistan Navy for quite some time. So, they will try and project a lot of threats to us. But I think we are far too strong here. The PLA Navy itself doesn't have a blue water capability as such to reach out to such areas as this. The Indian Navy need not go all out to do a kind of a sea denial or carry out even an attack on Karachi harbour, because its mere presence there, actually the threat that it causes will ensure that all merchant shipping in this area will keep away from it. Because this becomes an almost war zone. The price, the insurance prices will go up manifold. Anyone who was having to bring in anything to Karachi would probably charge a package absolutely to do that. So Pakistan is not in a position to afford anything of that kind. So actually, you don't have to really physically attack it. Actually, as long as the maneuver is there, the threat in being is there, it is sufficient to keep Pakistan on tenterhooks. And Pakistan will be forced to look towards the maritime domain before it can take any decisions on the ground and in the air. And I'm sure Air Marshal Manmohan Bahadur will agree with me on that.
In fact, I wanted to come to Air Marshal Manmohan Bahadur, but Geeta has more inputs that are coming in. Air Marshal, give me a moment as I bring in Geeta Mohan on the war on the diplomatic front, because that again is an area where, from Prime Minister Narendra Modi to National Security Advisor Ajit Doval to External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar, India is on a very strong footing, continuously engaging partners, telling them about Pakistan's radical Islamist terror state. So how is the diplomatic war, how is the maneuvering there, Geeta?
Well, Gaurav, the channels of communication have opened up. They were open last time around also when India decided to attack and target the terror hubs within the 9 terror targets within Pakistani territory and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. For the first time entering the Punjab, they informed partner countries, key allies like the United States of America, the UK, Saudi Arabia, Russia, and the UAE. This time around, we know that the conversations have already opened up with the United States of America. National Security Advisor Ajit Doval has his own line of communication other than Dr. Jaishankar, where he speaks with his, not just his counterparts, but with leadership from various countries, particularly the Gulf states, keeping them informed. They are important allies and partners. Remember, the massive shift that we've seen in diplomacy, in geopolitics, when there was a time Gulf states, West Asia, would not side with India, would not support India on anything to do with Pakistan, particularly Kashmir. But this time around, you've seen a massive change. Not only have they come out in support, they've been constantly in touch. They speak of de-escalation, but raise concerns with regards to terrorism. That in itself is a huge shift. So yes, communications have opened up, but Gaurav, the most important bit, Asim Munir carrying out this operation just a day before Pakistan goes to IMF. I mean, what is the message here? What is the man trying to do? It's almost like a death wish. They're going into a meeting with IMF, and just a day before, this is what Asim Munir does.
That's why Geeta Mohan is the best foreign affairs correspondent, because she gets you those amazing insights into how Pakistan is digging its grave. And, you know, Sandeep, there's an old saying that stop digging if you're digging yourself when you're in a ditch. Pakistan's just digging itself deeper in that ditch. Good for us, bad for them. But Sandeep, the targeting of Karachi, the operations in Lahore, the blast in Peshawar, it would seem Pakistan is actually facing offensive at multiple fronts, on multiple fronts.
Strategic encirclement of Pakistan, Gaurav, and in a way that we have not seen in several years. Pakistan's free pass that it had for so long, for 25 years, it's had a free run with terror attacks across the length and breadth of India, and of course, starting from 26/11 to those 26 tourists that they murdered brutally in Pahalgam. It's now time to pay the bills, Gaurav. And this is exactly what's been happening over the last 48 hours. Pakistan and its terror machinery, its Pakistan military and the jihadi complex that the military has nurtured for over 4 decades is now realizing that, you know, it cannot have a free pass any longer with the kind of attacks that it's been carrying out in the past. There will be consequences, Gaurav. There will be consequences, and you are now witnessing the full impact of those consequences right now. General Asim Munir and his generals are sitting inside GHQ Rawalpindi and watching with great dismay about the kind of situation that they've brought Pakistan into. And the last time this happened, Kargil, was in 1999. You know what happened in Pakistan? There was a coup.
There was a coup.
He took over forcibly. When General Musharraf was cornered, he took over. Will Asim Munir do the same? Will he actually overthrow the civilian administration and take over the reins of power? Or will some other ambitious general who's waiting in the wings, an ambitious crore commander, take charge
commander, yeah.
and unseat Asim Munir? It's an extremely unpredictable country that we're dealing with.
When your adversary is cornered, he's also the most dangerous because he could do something irrational. Air Marshal Bahadur, you being an aviator and you being in the Air Force, and Air Force has a bird's eye view of the situation. Give us a 360-degree perspective of what Pakistan has been through in the past, not even 12 hours, in the past 6 hours. The fact that there's been a blast in Peshawar, Lahore has been targeted, all their attempts to target India across the spectrum of the India-Pakistan border, that has failed. Now Karachi has been targeted. What would General Asim Munir do? Would he back down or would he launch even a fiercer attack now?
He has his supporters. It's not that he has run out of ammunition. What he would be seeing on his board or on his computer is that he is cornered now from the south and on his eastern flank. Okay. He has reserves right now. His army has not moved in as such or moved anywhere. Yes. So to think that his with his back to the wall, not exactly, but that's where, as I said, the diplomatic pressures will start coming on, or internal pressures will start coming on. He has to call it a day at some point of time. The point is, when he calls it a day, what is it that we would get? What sort of assurance, what sort of reliability in what comes to us? Because remember, this is something that he has started. Yes. But it's not that it will stop when he says stop. So we've got to be very clear. What is it that, having that now that we are in it, what is our aim, our political aim that should be there at this stage? Because with having the upper hand right now, well, we've got our assets, we've got the cards, as President Trump says, we hold the cards. So we need to play our cards very carefully right now to make sure that we, at the end of the day, we get, after having lost people, after having lost civilians, our infrastructure also, and the fact that we lost in Pahalgam, and we had an attack in Pahalgam, which struck at the basic ethos of our society, a multi-religious, multicultural society that we have. Yes, we cannot afford to let this continue. So I think we will weigh our cards and then
when you talk about principles of war, General Hasnain, there is an aim and there is maintenance of aim. What's our aim? What would be the maintenance of our aim, General Hasnain? Point one, point two, as far as Pakistan is concerned, what would Pakistan be doing? What would the Pakistan Army Chief be doing right now in your appreciation? As we look at these images, oh my God, watch those images of a total blackout all along all those multiple cities in our country, in all the border areas. Look at those images that are coming in. Samba, of course, you have some light that's still on. Pathankot, absolutely dark. Amritsar, absolutely dark. Gurdaspur, virtually dark. Akhnoor is dark. Jaisalmer is dark. The situation remains tense, ladies and gentlemen. There is clear and present danger because, General Hasnain, a cornered adversary may not be a rational adversary. Would he scale up? Can he escalate, General Hasnain?
Good, Gaurav, very good questions. Let me start by, first of all, observing that your photographs of all the blackouts, this is after 1971. The first time after 54 years that we are looking at blackouts, and I'm surprised actually how effective the blackouts are. You know, our civil defense system, lots of people were questioning our civil defense system because it's not been activated for fairly long. But you have got a whole disaster management system, which I look after myself. And riding on top of the disaster management system is the civil defense system today, which is gaining efficiency by the day. And you can see it right on your screens out here. But coming to your specific question on selection and maintenance of aim, which is essential, the first principle of war. Now, in this case, I think the manner in which India has launched its operations, the aim at this particular time will be to continue to maintain relentless pressure on Pakistan to prevent it from undertaking any further major operations against us. And what is happening at the moment are small, sporadic forays which are taking place towards the border. There is no major attack as such. We have negated and neutralized them all. But this pressure must be maintained on them. The pressure with the maneuver we are making from the maritime domain is again one other prong to maintain that pressure on them. So far, we have moved nothing on the ground. If that also happens, it will be another screw which will be turned. So what is important at this particular stage is to continue to turn the screws. And with each turn of the screw, the pressure must build up on them. So that relentlessly at the end of it, he has to hold back. He has to de-escalate completely in this particular case. Pakistan would be at this time particularly looking for the aim to withstand that pressure.
Okay.
And to give it, to hit back India in such a manner that it does not escalate, but at the same time forces India to rethink its strategy. Considering all things at the moment, the Indian strategy of maintaining relentless pressure appears to be the one which will more likely succeed at this point in time.
You know why? You're making very pertinent points, and all of us would really want to benefit so much more. It's right now 12:40 at night. If we look at what happened over the past 2 days, between 1 o'clock and 1:30 was when the Pakistanis attempted to strike us yesterday, and it was between 1:05 and 1:35 when we hit 9 terror bases day before yesterday. And oh my God, striking Muridke and Bahawalpur and Sialkot and striking at the heart of Pakistan state-sponsored radical Islamist terror was such a huge signal that was sent out. The ramifications, the implications, Pakistan's attempted strike back, and the fact that Navy has been used right now. This truly, Sandeep, is MDO. It's a multi-domain operation that is happening on land, in the air, sea, perhaps sub-sea, perhaps even cyber, Sandeep.
Absolutely, Gaurav. This is unprecedented. The level of pressure that, as General Hasnain mentioned, that those screws are being tightened. They've been turned on to Pakistan in a way that we haven't seen possibly since 1971. This kind of unbearable pressure that's being brought to bear on Pakistan to ensure that it doesn't escalate further. And this is the Indian government telling Pakistan that your days of unrestricted terror attacks and, you know, this jihadi complex that you have nurtured over there, and of course the unpredictable General Asim Munir, who thinks that he can get away with murdering Indian civilians in Jammu and Kashmir, the days of all of that have come to an end, Gaurav. And this is possibly one of the biggest red letter days in the 21st century, as far as we are looking at the way India has tackled security challenges on the border, especially with Pakistan. 25 years of state-sponsored Pakistan terror from Pakistan is possibly has reached its high mark, Gaurav. And I'm using the words high mark because that is an exercise that Pakistan conducts every year. And they have possibly reached the high mark. They have to figure out a new strategy because this old system of bleeding us with the so-called 1,000 cuts isn't working anymore. All of those 1,000 cuts today are being inflicted on the state of Pakistan itself.
The military jihad complex of Pakistan. Stay with me. And Geeta, very important point coming in. The United States has supported direct dialogue between India and Pakistan and encourages both India and Pakistan to improve communication. It's a big statement being made by the United States of America. And Geeta will tell us beyond the diplomacies what is happening, but let's listen in to the voices that are coming in from the United States of America.
This morning, Secretary Rubio spoke with Pakistani Prime Minister Sharif and Indian External Affairs Minister Jaishankar. In both calls, the Secretary emphasized the need for immediate de-escalation and called for an end to the violence. He expressed U.S. support for direct dialogue between India and Pakistan and encouraged continued efforts to improve communications.
Okay, Geeta, India's diplomatic assault, and I'm using that word assault because Dr. S. Jaishankar is relentless in exposing Pakistan's state-sponsored radical Islamist terror. He's also virtually relentless when countries at times say both India and Pakistan should remain engaged, because he says a victim of terror and a perpetrator of terror cannot be equated and cannot be on the same page. But give us more about India's diplomatic assault that is taking place on Pakistan's military jihad complex.
Well, the Indian side was very clear. After the Pahalgam terror attack, the message to the world, and even now, Gaurav, when they're saying de-escalate, open communication lines, the concern that they're expressing, India is very clear. India's message is that we are not the ones who are escalating. It's Pakistan. Look at what Vikram Misri, the Foreign Secretary of India, in the briefing today, he said. He said, India, it was not Pakistan reacting to India, it was India reacting to Pakistani action. The Pahalgam terror attack was the reason why India carried out the attacks within Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, not the other way around. And so Pakistan had no right to retaliate. It was a retaliatory action. They waited 2 weeks to see if Pakistan is going to take some action against those terror hubs or not. And after they didn't, they informed the international community that India is going to go in. And that's the message that India is sending out to the world, particularly to partners like the United States of America, that if you want to really send out a message, it's not about communication lines or de-escalation, it's about telling Pakistan to rein in the terror factories, asking them to stop supporting terrorism. And that certainly will lead to de-escalation. That is an automatic de-escalatory move. So that's the message that India has been carrying out to various countries and the international community, including the United Nations Security Council, where the foreign envoys over here, based in New Delhi, representing United Nations Security Council permanent and non-permanent members, were called in. And this again was the message that was sent out to them. At the UNSC, Pakistan called for a meeting, being a non-permanent member, found no support, absolutely isolated. And again, asking India not to preach was a great move, not just when it comes to Pakistan, but when it comes to India's decisions. Today, we have the Russian S-400s, Gaurav, that saved India in many ways than one against the Chinese weapons systems that Pakistan has.
Stay with me. Very significant points you're making there. But you know the point, General Hasnain, that Geeta was just making. One day before Pakistan is to go to the International Monetary Fund, Pakistan has no money. It cannot survive if it doesn't get IMF bailout. One day before that, Pakistan launches this big package of drone strikes, missile strikes at not one, not two, not three, 15 locations across India. It attempts and fails. And then it tries again, and there are reports it's lost 3 fighter planes, it's lost its airborne early warning command and control system, and there are reports that Karachi is in the line of fire and Karachi is being blockaded. What do you make of Asim Munir's mindset or his survivability in Pakistan? Hasnain, can you hear me, sir? Okay, give me a moment as I try and reestablish that link with General Hasnain in a moment. But Sandeep, I want you to take that question. Just before going to IMF, Pakistan does what it's done. How will it get the next bailout? Unless, of course, Pakistan thinks that China may bail them out, even if IMF doesn't. China has been rather stingy with giving money now, especially at a time when Chinese civilians are being killed in Pakistan.
Absolutely, Gaurav. China has been extremely stingy with Pakistan when it comes to giving out money. The IMF is literally Pakistan's only hope for a lifeline. And then the questions that would be asked, Gaurav, is that what is that money going towards? Is it going to benefit the people of Pakistan, or is it going to be used by Pakistan's military to buy more weapons for itself to use against its neighbors. So that's the big question. I mean, will the IMF allow money to be sent to Pakistan at a time when it is increasing its defense budget? And we know how the IMF looks at loans that it gives nations, like Pakistan. They would demand some accountability for the way that money is being spent. And clearly with Pakistan, it is one big black hole. Okay. And that black hole, it usually ends up in the coffers of GHQ, Rawalpindi. And it buys them the kind of drones and the air defense missiles and the fighter jets that we were talking about all day today, Gaurav, at the expense of the people of Pakistan who don't even have food or tea to drink, Gaurav. That's how bad the situation is. At a time when the Pakistan military is busy enriching itself, the people of Pakistan are suffering.
More breaking news coming in. Multiple attacks on Pakistan Army in Balochistan. Even as we speak, Balochistan is Pakistan Army's Achilles heel, and that is now being pressed. A series of coordinated attacks are taking place in Quetta, the capital of Balochistan, again a corps headquarters, and there have been multiple explosions and heavy gunfire across Quetta. In the first instance, we are told Baloch freedom fighters have launched an attack on the headquarters of the Frontier Corps, the FC, in Balochistan. Witnesses are now reporting multiple loud explosions that are taking place and intense gunfire between these Baloch freedom fighters and security personnel, whose morale incidentally is very, very down, and I'll get you some more information in that in just a moment. There's a second attack that is taking place even as we speak, and that's being reported from the Captain Safar Khan checkpoint that is taking place on the Kambarni Road. It is in the Jungle Bagh area in Balochistan, and information that we are getting, two very powerful explosions have been heard in Balochistan in this region. There's been another incident, and this time it's in the Hazara town. It's the Karni Road area in Hazara town that's been targeted. The exact nature of this attack, and God forbid, casualties, because casualties are always painful. Even if it's Pakistan Army casualties are painful. But we are also being told that Baloch freedom fighters are targeting the anti-narcotics force camp, and this is in Arif Gali. This is in the vicinity of the Borma Hotel. Very specific details we are getting you what is happening as details of these assaults emerge in Quetta and around Quetta in Balochistan. So earlier authorities have confirmed that one person was injured. Now we are being told that 3 others have been injured in another explosion that's taking place on Spinney Road. And this is just the first bit of information that is coming in. And when you look at Pakistan's map, I will just put out Pakistan's map in just a moment. So there's been a blast in Peshawar. So Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, there is an issue. Balochistan, which is Pakistan's Achilles heel, you've just heard of multiple blasts and fights that are happening between Baloch freedom fighters and the Pakistani security forces, whose morale is down. If you talked about Sindh, Karachi has just been targeted in Pakistan's Punjab province, which is the heart of Pakistan, or what the well-heeled in Pakistan called proper Pakistan. Even in proper Pakistan, Muridke has been targeted, Bahawalpur has been targeted, Lahore has been targeted, and AWACS has been down over proper Pakistan. So the situation is extremely, extremely grim. Geeta Mohanaz, I want to come to you to understand, Geeta. If you look at this bigger picture, before I bring in Sandeep and before I bring in Air Marshal Manmohan Bahadur, Geeta, every part of Pakistan seems to be in jelly state.
Well, absolutely. What is happening in Balochistan started in the morning when an army convoy was attacked by the Baloch Liberation Army. And that certainly was signaling that the Baloch now find this as a window of opportunity to move in and take out as many as Pakistani army official as they can. This is their moment. I was speaking to the Khan of Kalat, Gaurav. You'd know the Khan of Kalat, a family that held onto an independent region in Balochistan only for 227 days to be betrayed by Jinnah, and then the British handing over Kalat to Pakistan. Today they live in exile in London, and what he called the Pakistani military are terrorists in uniform. That's the message, very clearly saying that now is the time when you will see an uprising like none other. And like no other time in history, the Baloch are going to rise, and they are going to raise their voice and their arms against Pakistan and Pakistani establishment who force themselves on Balochistan. So these multiple strikes is just a window of opportunity that they're seeing to ensure that they get what they want and what they've been fighting for so long.
You know, Balochistan was an independent country. Pakistan occupied Balochistan forcibly, and this is an area that Pakistan has exploited since 1948. An independent country that never accepted Pakistan, where Baloch freedom fighters have constantly been fighting for independence from Pakistan. And I will take you back to what Prime Minister Narendra Modi said from the ramparts of the Red Fort, and Pakistan should have read the writing on the wall when the Prime Minister of India, when Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke of brothers and sisters in Balochistan who were sending Rakhis and who were sending out a message to India. And he left it at that. We will play that out for you. You do keep in mind that brothers and sisters are now fighting for their freedom. Air Marshal Bahadur, I want you to reflect on what's happening in different provinces of Pakistan, in the Punjab province, in the Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province, in Balochistan, and in Karachi in Sindh. What do you make of the bigger picture that emerges? Sandeep, we'll just take a moment. I think there is an audio link that we are having with him. Sandeep, join these dots. Join these dots. What's happening?
Gaurav, you know, one of the theories behind General Asim Munir's course of action, why he did what he did, was the grave internal situation that Pakistan was in. Balochistan in flames, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa out of control, the economy shot to pieces, political instability in Pakistan, General Asim Munir, one of the most unpopular army chiefs, Imran Khan, one of the most popular political leaders, in jail. General Asim Munir thought that he would push this conflict with India. He did not bargain for this. And the fact that India has chose to strike back the way it did has emboldened the Baloch freedom fighters. And I'm sure there are going to be more such strikes like this, because the Baloch have now seen that the Pakistan military are distracted by this border crisis, and they have chosen to strike at a place and time of their choosing, it looks like. And this is Pakistan Army's worst nightmare come true.